A few days to the blood moon and I was starting to feel its pull like was norm, but this time it had taken long for it usually came earlier than this. But Tamia could tell that I was in turmoil and try to assure me that all was going to be well in a few days, but I was still fearful. She said that we had to perform the needed ritual on the D-Day because that way, it would be newly risen and hungry for blood. We are going to give it blood, all right, she said as she held my forehead and massaged it slowly, and I felt the lust alleviate. She was so good to me, and I usually felt and still feel calmer when I am with her. I can't thank the moon goddess enough for making her come my way. I also thank Data because if she hadn't sent me those fake dreams, I wouldn't have left home and I thus wouldn't have met Tamia. Aurora had ordered a feast to be prepared. She figured that we needed to celebrate my emancipation from the clutches of the evil, like she put it. We are slaughtering 12 bulls and we will have other delicacies to go with the meat, she told me, as she gave me the budget for approval. Everyone who can hold a knife will be a chef that day. We are not bringing outside catering since I want everything to be in-house, she continued. Why so much? I asked her. This was a lot of money because according to the budget, we were to use more than $150,000. Because, my dear brother, we will be celebrating your liberation from that evil, and that day, no house will cook. We will all have a communal meal and celebrate together. Also, don't forget that our pack has grown. We have almost 300 new additions, she said, and I remembered that while I was unconscious after the exhaustion Data had put me through in the forest, Tamia was able to save the members of the pack I attacked while under the spell. Oh, I almost forgot about that. Kira, how is the settling them coming along? I asked the man who had become Aurora's shadow of late. Since I got mated to Tamia, these two have been spending most of their time together. I knew something was going on, but I hadn't gotten round into asking. We have already been able to settle them and they are building their new houses now. We have allocated each family a piece of land where they can grow food and build or even keep animals if they so want. Those able have been given jobs in the pack and outside, and the little ones have already been enrolled in school, he said, and I felt proud of my Beta. Such a hardworking man. Oh wow. That was fast. Good work. I praised him, because it was usually advisable to give credit where it was due. Oh, no, don't thank me. Thank Tamia. Without her strategic planning, we wouldn't have been able to do all that, he said, with a smile that told me that I was an idiot for not knowing it. Tamia? I couldn't believe it. Since when was she a strategist? I told you that she can take care of the pack even without you. Did you think I was joking? Aurora asked me. That day when Aurora said that, I thought that she was just praising Tamia for what she did, you know, finding me in the forest and defeating Data. I knew that meant she was powerful, but in leading a pack, strength as well as brains were needed. That means that I have a Luna who is capable of holding her own even when I am not around. That what a comforting thought, and I felt my heart swell with pride. And talking of Tamia, where is she? I asked my sister. Tamia left early after breakfast and told me that she had something to do with Aurora. Now, Aurora was here and Tamia was nowhere to be seen. Oh, she's fine, just taking care of the ritual that is to be performed. She visited the oracle after we were done because she said that she will need his help since he is the goddess's representative here. She explained. I signed the documents Aurora and Kieran needed me to sign for the treasury, and I left. I needed to see what Tamia was doing with the oracle, and I also needed her. I wanted to see her even if it was for a while. I walked towards the southern part of the pack where the oracle resided, and I realized that it had been very long since I talked to my people or since they saw me. Since the blood moon curse, I rarely found time for the affairs of the pack since I was always on the move looking for a cure. I didn't even know the current population of my pack, but if this thing goes away, I will be able to settle and at least know my pack well. I guess Aida knew that I would be busy to take care of my pack and she expected it to disintegrate and be absorbed by other larger packs, but too bad. Good thing was that I had Aurora and Kira to take care of everything, even when I was away. As I was walking, I saw a lot of new faces and old ones, and they all stood to greet me and I just couldn't ignore them. So, it took me longer than I would have needed to reach to the oracle's place. After I was done with the pleasantries and all, it was an hour after I left my office and Tamia found me still on my way. I smiled when I saw her, and that's when I felt my heart settle. I don't know why I am afraid, but I am. What would happen if Tamia decides to leave me? It's not that I don't trust her, but this whole thing seems too good to be true. She's too good to be my mate, and every time we go for long without seeing her, I start fearing that she doesn't want to be with me anymore and she has left me. What are you doing on these sides? She asked me with a smile as she hugs me. I return the hug and sniff her hair, and I feel my heart return to its place. Finally, I was on my way to find you, but then I got held up. What took you so long? I asked her. I had to take care of some issues with the Oracle because I needed his advice on the whole data thing. Also, I needed his help in rallying the elders of the council for the ritual. It can't be a public spectacle, but we need them there. It would be bad if they thought that we never respected their positions in this pack anymore, don't you think? She asked. And I wondered, yet again, how I could be this lucky. I hugged her again and spoke. Why are you so intelligent? You think of all angles even before I have. Thank you. No need to thank me. I thought I am your Luna and I am supposed to help you, she said as she squeezed my back in assurance. I love you so much. You know that, right? I asked her as I bent to kiss her neck. Yes, I know, and you can't do that. Here, she told me as she broke the hug with a giggle. Annie Tamia, Mama calls you for lunch. A child, a beautiful young girl, came running toward us. Lunch? I asked her. Wanna see how your people live? She asked me with a knowing smile and started walking while pulling me by my hand. After you, my queen, I said sarcastically because she was already taking me anyway. This was the life I wanted after all this was done. The D-Day was here. Killian was getting impatient and I had used my powers to calm him down, though I knew it wouldn't hold him down for long. The blood moon would be rising tonight, and the more time went by, the more the pull on his soul got stronger. When the effect started affecting him, I saw his eyes turn red and it was like he was another person. When I restrained him last, we were just sitting there planning on how the day would go, and then he started shaking, and then when he turned to look at me, his eyes were blood red and there were more hair than normal on his hands and face. I didn't run away, but if it was another day when I didn't have these powers I was blessed with by the moon goddess, I don't think that I would have made it to the door if I tried. Killian, baby, are you okay? I asked him, but I could tell that he wasn't okay. He was struggling to fight it, and I could tell. He looked at me, and I think my gaze that I kept fixated on him helped him remember that it was me. I then stretched my hand and flicked it and directed a beam of white energy into his heart. He startled, and then his eyes gradually changed to a normal color. Thank you so much, he said, drawing a deep breath. It was like he had been drowning and couldn't breathe. You okay? I asked him as I held his hand to assure him that I was here. We have to be quick. It won't hold for long, I said. And we ate very quickly and then went on our way. Aurora and Kira were busy preparing the banquet, and we weren't worried because we knew they could hold their own, since we didn't want anyone to witness the ritual because it wouldn't look like a good picture with Data dying and all. We had agreed to hold it in the Oracle's home, and that was one of the things I needed to ask him when I visited him. We wanted to use his place because since he was used to these things, then he could help me build the place needed to the sacrifice. To the blood moon, he had already asked his family to go and help with the celebrations, and he was all alone when we arrived. Sorry, he wasn't alone. Data was there with him. We had ordered a few trusted warriors to take her here, and from her gloomy look, I guess she had realized that it was all over. All along, she had been harboring the hope that she might be rescued by her sisters and aunts, or whatever. I had performed a silencing spell on her because we didn't want her screaming all over the place and alerting the others. We wanted this to be a silent affair. She was taken to a secluded room where she couldn't escape no matter what. I had scanned the area, the whole area, and I had made sure that no intruders were around. We had also beefed up security for we could never be too careful. I supervised those who were making the altar, and by evening, all was well and we were ready. Killian was getting more and more restless as evening approached because the moon was almost rising. I had to keep an eye on him because I couldn't have him running away from me or him hurting our people. Our people. I like that. I never thought I will have a pack one day that will accept me for me and appreciate me. I love the fact that I had these people, and most have already accepted me as their Luna. Even though we haven't performed the official mating ceremony, we will do it soon when Killian is all better. I want him to be himself when he takes me before everyone in the pack. Killian starts screaming murder and growling when evening came, and at least, right now the chains that could never hold him there before now could. We tie him up, for I can't calm him again using my magic because by then, the blood moon wouldn't detect the curse and we want it to take it away. I thus strengthen the ropes and help hold him in place. He is changing back and forth from a Lycan to human to Lycan again, and I know he must be in pain, though changing to a Lycan isn't as painful like it is changing into a four-legged wolf. It Still is because bones are stretched and compressed here and there and fur grows and all. Just a while, baby. It will be over soon. I soothe him and my voice makes him get a hold of himself again, even though for a while, when he looks at me, I can see pleading in his eyes though he doesn't speak. I know he is begging me to help him. This time it's worse for him because he can feel everything. If it were one of the other times, the curse would have completely taken over and he wouldn't even know what he was doing. He usually woke up to be himself a day later after he had committed unmentionable crimes. The elders start trickling in one by one, and by exactly 30 past 7, all of them are here. We are ready to start and Data is brought out. She has been cleaned and her clothes changed as per my instructions, and she is laying on the altar. She tries screaming or speaking but nothing can come out. I know she has a lot to say, but we have heard enough from her and I don't want to give her a chance to say anything against the ritual, for you never know. She could say something and the blood moon takes it seriously, and the whole thing goes terribly wrong. As much as I would like to empathize with her, I couldn't for the life of me. She is a murderer and her death would be helping correct what her kind has done this far. If there was a fight and a massacre years ago between these species, why make their children pay? Why not ask for a truce and let everyone live in peace? So, since they decided to shed blood because revenge would make them feel better, then okay. A tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye. This was making up for what her mother did. I then go for Killian. The other warriors can't get close to him because right now, the blood moon has already started rising and Killian is baying for blood. He wants blood and I am the only person who is able to help him and calm him down. I walk towards where we had tied him and I start talking to him in a smooth small voice. Baby, it's me. It's alright. I am here. Tonight is the last night and it's all going to be okay. I want you to try and help me. Try and fight it. Help me so that I can be able to make it go away, please. I coerce him with my gaze on him and he also holds my gaze and he calms down slowly by slowly. He stops growling slowly by slowly and he changes back to his human form. If this is the pain Killian had been going through every 2 years, then those witches are ruthless. How can they watch as someone suffers this much? Anyway, it will all be over soon. Tonight to be precise. Killian looks at me after calming down. And this time, he is able to speak. Help me, he says, and sheds a tear. Killian sheds a tear. I feel my heart tear. This kills me on the inside. I try to imagine the kind of pain and torture he might be going through to make the usually proud, strong Killian cry, and it hurts me more than I would like to acknowledge. It will be over soon. I promise him, trying to hold my pain inside because I don't want to break down at such a moment. I have to be strong for us. For him. I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. I was very, very nervous. This ritual was a complicated one that called for me to do a lot of things that I hadn't ever done before. Heck, I didn't even know yet how these powers I had worked. I had no precedence and all I did was from reflexes and trials. But it was for Killian and for my future too, seeing that we were bonded now. If he died, that meant that I would be a young widow and I couldn't have that. He followed me slowly and doubtfully and I could tell that he was fighting to keep himself calm. I knew this from the way he was sweating and the way his veins were bulging at the neck and hands. He was in pain and I knew that according to the curse, that pain would alleviate if he started killing. But that wasn't going to happen tonight. Just hold on for a while. It will be over soon, I told him, and he smiled subtly at me. Maybe he wanted to assure me that he was still with me. We came to where the oracle and the others had prepared the shrine and altar, and Data had already been laid flat on it and tied. She was wriggling and trying to scream, but none of the people around paid her any attention. It was like she wasn't there. It's almost time. Let's begin, the oracle said, and true to his word, the blood moon was almost overhead and the sacrifice needed to be done when it was overhead on us. I looked at Killian and he was also waiting for my next order. Lie down next to her, I told him, and he looked at me doubtfully but still walked towards the altar. When he saw my encouraging look, he laid next to Data facing up. I stood at one side of the altar and the oracle stood on the other holding a very sharp knife. The elders stood around us at a distance. At exactly the moment when the sun hit the middle of the sky, I felt a surge of power within me and it was like it washed over me and I got a confidence I didn't have there before. It was like I had been bathed in light and new information added to the one already in my mind, and I knew exactly what to do. I started walking around the altar chanting, and I didn't even know where the words came from. Blood moon, you who gave this curse to Alpha Killian, we implore you to take it back. Here is a blood sacrifice, equal to the blood sacrifice you received when you spelled him. Take it in exchange for the curse. We implore you in the name of Arena. Rona and all the gods in the sky, go from whence you came from, come peace and quiet in his body, go from whence you came from, come peace and quiet in his body, go from whence you came from, come peace and quiet in his body. In the presence of all those present, take thee what belongs to you. In the presence of all these witnesses, we return that which you gave and we want not, let the curse go back to whence it came from, let peace and quiet return to his body, I chanted as I continued walking towards the altar, stretching my hands towards Data and Killian. I then looked at the oracle and he took that as his cue. He lifted the knife and sliced Daida's right palm and started dripping the blood on the altar, drawing patterns he only knew. I then took a drop of the blood and touched Killian's forehead with it as I continued chanting. The moon changed color then. It was a bright big orb in the sky giving off light, but then it turned red slowly like there was an eclipse. The blood that was dripping from Daida's palm gathered together and like magic, it started rising in a single path like a string and started moving upwards. She screamed at that moment, but the sacrifice had been already connected to the blood moon and there was nothing she could have done to stop it. I saw Killian start to stir and a black thread of power started getting out from his forehead where I had touched with Daida's blood, and it intertwined with the string of blood from Data like two tendrils, one red, one black. They rose, and the more the blood moon took them in, the darker it became until it looked like there was a total lunar eclipse and there was darkness everywhere. It was so dark that the darkness almost seemed tangible, and even the candles that had been lit all round where we were had been blown off. One couldn't even see a centimeter in front of them. All we could see was the path created by the two tendrils as they continued rising. After a while, the two tendrils were cut and there was lightning. It struck so suddenly that we weren't ready for it. It came like a flash of light and hit the altar where the two were lying. I heard Killian groan, but there was nothing from Data. The lightning hit twice and then the moon started getting brighter slowly. We thank thee for heeding our call. We thank thee for accepting our gift. We thank thee for always watching over us. We thank thee. We thank thee. I continued chanting as light slowly returned. By the time the light was returning and we could see each other clearly, both Data and Killian were lying there motionless and the candles reignited. My heart missed a beat, but my heart was telling me that nothing could have gone wrong. I felt like the moon goddess was leading my every step, and I knew in my heart that I had done and said everything she had guided me to. I held Daida's wrist and there was no pulse. Her body was cold as if she had been in a freezer. Then, as I held the wrist, her body disintegrated into ashes before our eyes. I was so startled that I almost screamed, but I held myself. I was the Luna and this pack's savior, and I couldn't go just screaming about because they would lose their confidence in me. The blood moon must have been very angry at her. It sucked even her essence and soul. She's forever gone, the oracle said, and I understood what had happened to her then and why her body disintegrated like that. I then turned to the man who was still lying there, and my heart was pounding in my chest. What if? I didn't want to go with the thought because it would paralyze me to think of Killian dead. But then, he stirred. He groaned like someone who had been carrying a heavy load and they had put it down and they were stretching their bones. I shed tears then. I let them flow freely because I was happy. He was here with me. With us. My mate was here. He stretched and then opened his eyes slowly and looked around. He seemed not to remember where he was and none of us spoke. We gave him time to get acclimated to where he was and what had happened, and then he slowly seemed to recollect what had happened. Is it done? Is it over? He asked as he sprung to his feet. He stood before me and held my hands as he looked at me expectantly. I nodded my head with a smile. He didn't say anything as he encompassed me in a bear hug. He shook with tears of joy and we heard the elders chuckle in glee. Welcome back, son. Welcome back, Alpha. We are happy that it is all over now. Congratulations, Alpha. Such and many other encouragements and congratulations and joyous sounds came from the 20 or so elders who were there with us. Killian took it all in with grace as he smiled broadly and shook their hands, and thanking them for always helping him run the clan even when he was mad with bloodlust. I am hungry. Anyone craving food? An elder joked as he held his stomach, and that was our cue. It was time to go and celebrate. I could imagine Kira and Aurora's joy when they saw us. It was all over. We were good now. I was free. Oh, goodness. I was free. I am free. I roared, and that had everyone in stitches as we walked back to where the party was being held. I felt embarrassed, but I am sure they all understood where my joy was coming from. I had been caged by this curse for 8 good years. I was a prisoner. I have been in a prison within myself. I didn't sleep well nor eat well ever since I could remember. So many times have I contemplated suicide, but here I was, finally. I was free. I don't know about others, but I will worship Tamia for as long as I live. I had already promised myself to love and respect the person who will save me from the curse, and even if she wasn't my mate, I would have still given her anything she would have asked for. I stopped and held her. Have I ever told you that I adore you? I asked her. Yeah, you have said it like every 2 minutes since we left the Oracle's place, she said and smiled at me like I was a child and she was just humoring and indulging me. Oh, I forgot, but yes, I adore you, I said and kissed her. Yet again, she had tried to resist when I tried giving her these kisses as a show of my gratitude and devotion and happiness, but I was determined. I know we were with the elders, but fuck it. I was too happy to care. I felt like I had been reborn. I was a new person. We need a vacation. Name any place and I will take you there, I said. I wanted to be just with her so that I could show her how I truly felt for her. I know she knows I adore her, but there were some actions I needed to perform to demonstrate for her, and these needed just the two of us. I loved this woman and I wished I could squeeze her so that she could fit in my shirt pocket. That way, I would be caressing her anytime I missed her. Take her out to look at her and smooch her every 2 minutes and take care of her around the clock. No, we should hold our mating ceremony first, and then after that, there are things I want you to help me with first, and then when all is done, we could then have a break, she said, and I was down with it. Whatever you say, my queen, I told her, and again, smooched her cheek. She was so sweet. Stop that, she admonished for the umpteenth time, but did I listen? As if I would. You are a darling, I told her. And you are such a baby, she said, and that made me hold her hand with a smile. I was her baby, your baby, I said as I kissed the back of her hand. We walked to the party and we partied up to the wee hours of the morning, and I swear I can't even tell what happened. My eyes and attention were all on Tamia the whole night, and even when I was asked to give my speech and handed the speech Aurora had prepared for me, I gave something verbal and short so as to get back to her as quickly as I could. We later went to our quarters after the party ended and we left the young ones to continue. I followed her to the bathroom despite her complaints, and I slept with her in my arms. In fact, I was so happy to catch any Z's, and so I was just there watching her and admiring this angel the moon goddess blessed me with. If the 8 years I have fought with the curse were all a trial preparing me for Tamia, then every single minute was all worth it. After she woke up, I could not help myself. I kissed her the moment she opened her eyes, and I was happy that she didn't resist. She is the sweetest ever. She returned the kiss, and before she realized my intentions, her sleeping dress had been discarded in one move and she was lying there naked with me worshipping her body. I kissed her all over and finger-fucked her till I felt her shake with pleasure, and then I entered her while she was still pouring her cum out, and she trembled again when I entered. I ravaged her, literally. I made love to her like it was my first time, though this was my second, and since I wasn't under any influence, I felt it more this time. She was so sweet. I turned her this way and that way and ravaged her in all positions. And by the time I was done with her, she was too tired to walk. She had already exerted herself enough last night while breaking that curse for me, and now with this, I knew she was going to be in bed for the rest of the day, but I made sure that I wasn't the only one who enjoyed. If her moans, groans and cries of pleasure were anything to go with, then she was also on the same page with me. I wanted me and her to start making pups, and I wanted children that looked like her. I wanted little angel Lycans running around here with joy and laughter. But I knew it would be too early to ask, and we had all our lives to plan and actualize it. I cleaned her and fed her in bed despite her insisting that she could do it. I wanted to spoil her. When do you want our public mating to be? I asked her as we sat on the couch with her lying on my lap. Let's do it this coming full moon. There is no need of dragging it, she said, and I smiled secretly. I was happy that she was as eager as I was to become my Luna officially. Okay, I will ask Aurora to take care of everything, I said. I didn't want her to get tired. I just wanted her to avail herself for the ritual. No, I will. Let me be the one to take care of this, she said, and what else could I say? She was my bride, and though I didn't want her to tire, it would be her wedding. Let her do what she wanted. You said that there are things you want to do before we can take a vacation. Would you mind telling me what those are? I asked, though I had an inkling of what she wanted. I want to find out what the witches meant when they said that they changed my fate, and while at it, I want to prove that I didn't kill my best friend. I want to prove to everyone in my former pack that it wasn't me. I owe Alanna that. I want her killers to be found and punished. They don't deserve peace. She broke off, but I didn't interrupt. I gave her time to adjust and calm down, then she continued. I also want to punish my father's killers. He finished, and I knew she meant that damned Logan idiot. But even if I hate him, I kind of thank him. It was because of his folly that I am with this woman today. His loss was my gain, but I bet that he doesn't know that he threw away a jewel. I would want to be there when he sees Tamia for the first time after everything he did to her. I would also love to see his face when he realized the blunder he had made by falsely accusing her. Yes, anything. I will help you in anything you want, I said as I kissed her gently. I was here to make her comfortable in all aspects of her life, even if that meant getting rid of all her enemies. I was at her service. It has been 2 weeks since the blood moon, and Killian is all well, and I could never be happier. Happy for Aurora, happy for him, happy for his pack, but mostly, happy for myself. First, I thought that Killian was being clingy because I had just helped him break the curse, and I expected his excitement to die within days, and I couldn't be more wrong. He is still clingy and keeps spoiling me. Many are the times I still think that I actually died at the sea when I jumped off the cliff, and this is a sweet dream I am having before I wake up as a spirit in the world of the dead. But even if it is a dream, I am thankful to the god of death because this is better than my life. In that pack, I didn't and still do not hate Logan. No, I understood where he was coming from. What I hated was the fact that he didn't believe in me and believed that I could kill his sister, my best friend. Now, after our traditional wedding here at the pack, where I would become the pack's official Luna, I want Killian to help me prove that I am not the one who killed Alanna. I want to clear my name and put all those who abused and taunted and made me suffer to shame. I want Killian with me for a lot of reasons. 1, I am proud to have him as my mate. Who wouldn't, seeing that he is much more handsome than Logan? He is a Lycan. He is taller and well built, and other than his physical attributes, he loves me to death. Yes. I want Logan to realize that his rejection was my gain. I am even glad that he rejected me, because how would I have been able to mate with Killian otherwise? See, in the midst of everything they did to me, in the midst of all the pain and suffering, there were hidden blessings. The blessings came in the name of Killian, Aurora, and the Midnight Pack. I am taking a breather in my room, the room I share with Killian, after going all over checking this and that with Aurora in preparation for the wedding. She is so excited that one would think that she is the one getting married. Honey, I'm home. It has become his signature greeting whenever he comes to the house, and I am in. He started it as a joke after we watched a human romance movie, and now he can't seem to stop. Don't forget that I have just left him having a conversation with Kira just a moment ago just outside. Baby, you better tone it down, otherwise your people will start saying that you are a henpecked husband. I tell him as I give him a glass of cold juice. Henpecked? MPH. I like that. As long as it is you, I'm okay being henpecked. Anyway, I would do anything for you even if you didn't ask for it, he says. I am yet to get used to his sweet mouth because this is more than I have ever expected from anyone. I don't say anything and sit on the chair. Are you okay? He asks me as he sits opposite me and holds me against his chest. I snuggle in his chest as I enjoy the heat from him. Thank you for being here, I say simply, and close my eyes. Can I stay like this for a while? I ask him with my eyes still closed. Take the whole day if need be, he answers, and I smile as my answer. I don't know if he saw it, but he puts his glass on the table and holds me to him. The rhythm of his heart beating and the heat from his body lure me to sleep. I didn't even know when I drifted off, but I am running. I can see my mom running away from me, and I can't tell why. Mom, stop. I cry. I haven't looked at myself, but from the voice, I can tell I am around 10 years old. Mom looks back and she has tears in her eyes. I have never seen my mom because she died when I was very young, but this woman I am chasing looks exactly like the pictures my dad used to show me. I look nothing like my mom, where I have long black flowing hair. Mom's was brunette, almost red. I usually think that the reason why Alanna and I felt so strongly for each other the moment we met was because she looked so much like my mom's pictures. She had a head full of red hair, just like in the pictures of my mom. I remember asking Dad one day if he had ever thought that Alanna looked more like Mom than me. He told me that if the queen wasn't a redhead, though hers was darker, he would have thought that Alanna was his daughter. I continue chasing her and I can feel my legs start to give. Mom, stop. Don't you love me anymore? I will be good. Please don't go. I will stop eating hot Cheetos. I will stop hiding them under my pillow. I am sorry, Ma. I cry and she stops. I look around and we are in our pack. The place is as it has always been, beautiful and serene. And she was running towards the palace. I start walking towards her with tears and snort on my face. Mama, don't you love your little Tammy anymore? I ask her. My dad told me that that was the name she used to call me. Baby, come here, she says, and I take her outstretched hands. She is cold to the touch and I look at her face wondering why she is cold, and it is sunny. It is summer because all I can see around us is dried grass, though the trees are still green. But some are yellowing and shedding leaves all around us. The scene would have been beautiful had I not been crying. Baby, Mama will always love you. Always. But I have to go and get your sister. No. My daughter. She is in the palace. My mother says and lets go of my hand. I hope you find your mother soon, she says, as she starts running again. I stand there flabbergasted at what she had just said, and I don't really understand. What does she mean, my mother? Mama, Mama, Ma. I scream as I chase after her. But she is nowhere to be found. I am crying and trembling when I wake up to Killian shaking me. I am still laying on his chest and he looks at me worried. I look around yet to understand that it was just a dream. Baby, are you okay? It was just a dream. It was just a bad dream. Please come back. Please come back, he says, and I take a moment to recognize him. I am sorry. What happened? I ask as I sit well. You were dreaming. You screamed calling your mom. You were crying. Did you dream about your mom? He asks me and it all comes back. Yes. I saw her looking the way she usually did in the pictures Dad always showed me. So beautiful, with a head full of red hair. She was running towards the palace, my former pack's palace, and she was crying. She told me that she had been told her daughter is there, my sister, but she also said that she hopes I will find my mother. I finished in a puzzled tone. Your mom had red hair? Why is yours this dark then? Killian asks me. And what do I tell him? I don't really know. When I was younger, it had streaks of silver, and we thought it was Dad's, who was blonde. Then it turned dark and they all said I must have taken after Dad's mom, who had dark hair with silver streaks. But I usually thought that my hair resembled no one's in our family. Anyway, what do you think the dream could have meant? I ask him. I felt like there was more to the dream than just that. I don't really think it has a hidden meaning. Maybe you just miss your mom and you dreamed about her. You told me she passed away when you were young, right? And even if it does have a meaning, we will find out. Now relax. He told me and I think he is right. I won't stress over it. I have to go to the human city tomorrow to pick things for my wedding with Aurora. It is all well. Aurora had a list of the things she wanted us to buy. She had wanted to order the flowers from a shop in town, but I had an idea. What if we got flowers from Killian's garden? I wasn't sure whether he would agree to it, but I left that pending. If he didn't agree, we would just come back and order the ones we wanted or even do it online. She also had cake. You know I can bake, right? I asked her. Are you mad? You must have lost your mind from all the fucking from my brother, Aurora began. And I was already looking for somewhere to hide, because I was red with embarrassment. How can you even think of baking your own wedding cake? This is the time for you to be spoiled and don't spoil it. Just let us spoil you, she said as if she hadn't just talked of my sex life before the driver. There was also the wedding dress, the jewelry and the wedding cards. Why do we even need invitation cards? Isn't everyone we want to attend in the pack? I asked Aurora. Our IT guy in the pack had already done the design to my liking and all we needed was to have them printed and packaged in the papers we wanted. Because silly, we have to invite the alphas of the neighboring packs. Our alphas getting married and they need to be there. Also, we have to invite our pack members officially. It's our way of making them feel special, she said, and I agreed with the last part. The boss cakes have already prepared all the samples and all we have to do is taste and choose the design and it will be there on your wedding day. The gowns we ordered have arrived and we just have to see which one is better. The jewelry shop has also cleaned Mom's ring and got matching brooches and necklaces, and all we have to do is get the one that best suits you, Aurora explained, and I smiled. You are an angel, I said as I pecked her on the cheek and she looked at me flattered. I know, right? Where else can you find such a sister-in-law? She said and I sneered. She was tooting her own horn but I was already used to her cheekiness. But seriously, I can't tell you how happy I am to see my brother settling down and with you. There was a time all this was a far-fetched dream and now that it is happening, I have to make sure that it will be the wedding of the century. I will make Sure that you have the best wedding moonlight pack could ever hold, she said, and I felt moved. We got to the town in time, and it had been long since I was ever in the human world. That was before my dad was killed and before I was branded a murderer. The skyscrapers, the roads, the busy life of the city, the business stalls stuck together full of people, the hawkers shouting for their goods, the roadside food stalls. Everything looked new to me. It was like I had not been here for a very long time. I miss city life, I said, and I didn't expect anyone to answer. Is your city like this one? Aurora asked. Don't all cities look the same? I answered with a question. You have a point, she said, and the driver packed in front of the cake shop, drive around and we will call you once we are done. Here, Aurora said, as she produced a stack of notes and gave them to the driver, who smiled and revved away. Ready? Aurora asked me with a smile. I inhaled and exhaled and smiled as I took her hand. Let's eat cake, I said as we walked in the shop. It was quiet with only one group of people seated at a table, and a receptionist came to welcome us. Hello, ladies, welcome to Boss Cakes. Do you have an appointment or it's your first time? She asked, and Aurora was looking funnily at the other group. We have an appointment. Killian and Tamia, I said as I shook Aurora. Oh yes, please come in. Take that table and the chef will be out in a while with your samples. He is ready and has been waiting for you. Thank you for keeping time, the young girl said with a contagious smile. We sat down and I asked Aurora what was wrong. Why do you look like you have seen a ghost? I asked her. I will tell you later, she said, and I didn't want to rush her. After a while, 5 waiters came towards our table carrying 2 plates each, and the last man, who was wearing a chef's uniform, was carrying a tray with drinks. The waiters placed the cake samples on the table and walked away, leaving the chef and us. Welcome to our cake house. Which of you is Tamia? I am Drew, he said and stretched his arm, and we shook hands. She's Tamia. I am just the nosy sister-in-law, Aurora said, causing the chef to chuckle. Nice to meet you, Tamia and nosy sister-in-law, he said with a smile, and I like that our day has started like this. We tasted all the cakes with the chef explaining about the ingredients used, and we finally settled on a marble cake, and the design would be a 10-tier cake with velvety, touchable but eatable flowers. Why do we have to get such a big cake? I complained. Because, sweetheart, you are the queen and we can't have people eating per packs in your wedding. They all must eat the real thing, Aurora said, and I had nothing else to say. After the cake tasting, we went to the jewelry shop next. All was set. And it was easier here because we were choosing a necklace that went well with the family ring they had. After choosing the brooch and the necklace and a watch, we went next to the gown shop. If I was asked, even getting married in my normal day-to-day clothes would be okay as long as it was Killian I was marrying. But he and his sister insisted that I must look the part, and here I was. There were 5 wedding gowns to choose from, and they were all gorgeous. I wore one by one, and we finally settled on a white flowing gown that would rival wedding gowns worn by king's wives. It was so beautiful and gorgeous that I would need a radius of around 10 meters all to myself. Where will Killian stand? I asked when both Aurora and the lady helping us screamed that this was it. Here, the lady said as she walked towards me. It is made in such a way that it has somewhere he will stand, and while you two will be walking, it will look like he is gliding because his legs will be covered in the gown. Take a look, she told Aurora, as she walked barefoot toward me and showed us the 2 holes meant for the groom. She got in and I applauded the designer. When we walked, it was like I was carrying her. It's this one. This one it is, Aurora said, and I couldn't agree more. After that, we walked all around town buying this and that, and for the first time, I experienced the life of a princess. We ate and finally, we were ready to go home, but that was not before settling on the wedding cards printer. They would deliver them in 2 days' time. We called the driver and we went around picking the things we would carry, and we left the ones that would be delivered. We had taken a small car and it couldn't carry everything Aurora had bought for me. We were picking the last package from a suits shop. Aurora went to the washrooms and I offered to pick it and take it to the car as she came. As I was walking to the shop, I met face to face with Logan. He was holding the hand of a beautiful girl and he stopped and looked at me. I pretended I didn't see him, neither did I know him. Tamia, Logan called me. He also sounded doubtful. It was like he guessed it was me, but then again, it wasn't. I picked my package and started walking out. Tamia, he called again, and at that moment, Aurora came towards me. Already have it. Let's go, she said as she took the package from me, and we walked towards the car. Logan followed us, and I could hear the girl asking him who I was, and he answered that I looked like someone he knew. We drove away with my heart thumping. Soon I will meet him in my own terms. Aurora woke me up before the proverbial cock crowed. I was still sleepy and groggy and I wondered what was happening. Why so early? I was sleeping in the quarters I had used when I first got to this pack and Killian was in his quarters which we shared. Aurora had insisted that we should sleep separately for a week to make it a real wedding and to make us miss each other so that we could make pups during our wedding night. Her words, not mine. What's wrong and what time is it? I asked groggily as I covered my face due to the light. I wanted to go back to sleep and rest a bit more. I have been very busy with the wedding preparations and all I needed was one night of a good sleep. What do you mean, what's wrong? It's the wedding day, Aurora said, excitement lacing her words. Whose wedding? I asked as I turned and covered myself well as if she was not there. Oh goddess. Come and hear this, people. She doesn't remember whose wedding it is today. My brother has to hear this. His wife-to-be is absconding, she said, and that's when my brain woke up at least by 50%. Oh, my wedding. What time is it? I asked again. Finally, she remembers. It is 4 in the morning, Aurora said, pulling the duvet I was using to cover myself. Wake up, you lazy bone. Wake up, she said, and it was a struggle. She was pulling as I pulled. No, the wedding isn't until today in the evening and I want to rest some more. It's a full moon wedding and I want to sleep in, I said and closed my eyes tighter. She gave up on pulling and I felt the mattress depress on one side and I knew that she had sat down. Oh, Mama and Papa, I am so sorry. You can see that I tried, but brother's new wife doesn't respect you at all. She has refused to go to your graves to offer her respects before the wedding. Please forgive her. She is usually a good girl but very selfish sometimes, she continued, bubbling, and I couldn't sleep anymore. I remembered that we were to go to their parents' graves and offer our respects and then go to the oracle's place for a sacrifice and then visit 2 elders for their blessings before finally coming back to get ready for the main wedding. The wedding would start around 7 in the evening because the mating is supposed to happen at exactly midnight when the sun was overhead. This was so that we could ask the moon goddess to help us with fertility, and in this case, knowledge to lead this pack. The mating would be witnessed by everyone and I was afraid and excited at the same time. What made me a little calmer was that we would be in our wolf forms. If it was in our human forms, I would see it as public porn and I am not sure that I could die due to embarrassment. I swear you are unbearable. Okay, I will get ready, I said as I sat up with a frown with my eyes still closed. There, that wasn't hard now, was it? Here is the pack robe I have prepared for you, she said and kissed my brow. I wish I could kill you, I mumbled again and I heard her snicker. You know you can't. You love me too much to even think about it. She was speaking from the bathroom and I wondered what she was doing there. That's true. What are you doing in there? I asked, with a yawn as I walked towards where she was, with half-opened eyes. Running a bath for you. I have put in some herbs the oracle and the doctor gave me. Soak in them for 2 hours and I will be here to help you change the water. They will make you more beautiful, not that you need it anyway, and help ward off any evil eye or spirit that might think of following you or your marriage today, she said, and I now realized why she was here this early. Can I call Killian? I asked because I also thought that he needed protection from the gods too. Can I call Killian? She mimicked me. Come on, can't you guys have a moment apart? Anyway, Kira is with him doing the same thing. They must have drunk their brains out last night because when I woke Kira up, he couldn't even remember his name, she said, and I laughed at that. His bachelor party was last night and mine was the night before. Aurora insisted we do it in the city and we did. We invited some girls our age from the pack and Aurora brought strippers. Male strippers. It was so wild and they drank but I didn't drink. For some reason, my stomach can't hold alcohol if it was able to pass through my throat. Even the thought of it made me want to puke. Anyway, I guess Killian's party was as crazy as mine was, if not more. I got into the tub as Aurora directed, and I have never felt so relaxed. Don't get out. I will be back to check the water temperature. Didn't drown yourself. She walked out at that and left me with a smile. As if I would drown from this little water. With my current powers, I don't think there was anything that could rival me except the moon goddess herself. I actually fell asleep and it was a dreamless, restful sleep, and I was woken up by Aurora again wanting to change the bath water. I helped her this time as I felt well rested and she added more herbs for a second soak, and by the time we were done, the sun was already up and I was smelling like a flower shop. So fragrant and peaceful. I smelt like peace. We took breakfast and apparently, Killian and I weren't supposed to meet today. It was a special day and meeting would bring bad luck. The responsibility of this fell on the hands of Kira and Aurora. After breakfast, we went to their parents' graves. They were buried within the pack where the royal family tombs were. It housed generations of their ancestors, and the newest graves were those of their mother and father. Mom wasn't buried here at first. After Aida died, Killian exhumed her from where she had been buried in a common cemetery, and we held a second burial for her. Like the queen she was. That's why her grave is new as compared to the others. Dad was a pitiful man. After Mom died, he was never happy again, but he still did whatever Aida wanted and stood by her. It had come a time where she was basically the one running the pack. I know because I stayed with him long after Killian was chased away. Killian came for me after he received reports of how that woman was mistreating me. After seeing how Data treated my brother, I now understand Dad and I forgive him. Anyway, we are here to pay respects to them and ask them to bless your union with Killian, she said, attempting a smile, and I held her to me. We hugged for a while and we started unpacking the gifts we had brought. We arranged the food and flowers in order and made sure that each grave had a potion, and Aurora introduced me to them. We talked to each grave and it was basically a request for goodwill, protection and happiness. At her parents' graves, we took longer because she had a lot to report. We took around 3 hours there and I was glad that we came early, otherwise we would have been late with everything there was to do before the wedding. We will see you again after the wedding. Aurora smiled and waved at the graves as if she was addressing living people. I waved too with a bow, though I didn't say anything. I still wasn't part of the family and what we were doing was just introduction. We would visit again after Killian and I became husband and wife for him to show his wife to them. After leaving the tombs, we went straight to the oracle's place where we performed rituals and sacrifices to the gods, especially the moon goddess, and I had a lot to thank her for, since she appeared to me in that dream the day I wanted to end it all. Life hasn't been the same. After visiting the elders, it was almost time, and it was time for my makeup and dressing. Was I nervous? Yes. Was I happy? Definitely. I was about to become Mrs. Killian officially. Everyone was there, from alphas of other neighboring packs to our own pack members and other invited guests. I didn't even know most of them, but I had Kira with me to tell me through our link who they all were when it came to welcoming them. I was at the main gates at exactly 6 in the evening in my tuxedo with my best man, my beta, obviously, greeting and welcoming guests. Tamia wasn't to be seen until later. She was a mystery, and that was what made a wolf's wedding anticipatory and exciting. Everyone wanted to see her, and so they would stay until they saw her. I was one of the strongest alphas around, and I am sure that all these wolves were here to see who would tie me down. Many older wolves had approached me for liaisons and partnerships in our packs, and obviously, they came with the old school mentality, a marriage bond that would last centuries. What they didn't know was that I couldn't marry just anyone. I had the curse and I was a lover looking for the savior. Thus, to avoid embarrassment and bad rapport, I was at the doors with Kira, who was introducing anyone I didn't know, and they were of importance to us as a neighbor, a potential business partner or such. It was not until almost 2 hours later that we were done and it was time to go to the wedding venue. The venue was our normal training and combat grounds, but it had been transformed that it looked like we were in another planet. Tamia had come to me asking if she could use the flowers from our garden for the wedding, and how could I say no to her? Even if she had requested that the venue be in the garden itself, it would have been my joy to grant her wish. Thus, when I looked around, I could see traces of some of the exotic flower species I had to import. It smelled so nice and everything looked warm. The pink and purple color they had chosen went so well with the flowers, and it made the whole place look warm. Why do you want purple? Can't we use just any other color? Use black. It's my favorite anyway. I had argued with Aurora when she suggested it. Has it ever occurred to you that you are the king of this pack? She asked me, giving me that same look my mom used to give me when she was admonishing me. Yes, of course. But what does that have to do with the theme color of my wedding? I wanted to know because purple of all colors. You are hopeless, she said, as she sat next to me and took my hand in hers. Brother, you are the king, and do you know what the color of royalty of our pack is? She asked me. Was that taught in school? I wondered, because I don't remember learning about it. When would you have heard about it, even if it was taught in school when you were busy running after girls and training? Tell me, big bro, how many classes did you attend per semester? She asked me, bringing back the happy memories we had made before Aida happened in our lives. So, what's our color? I asked, diverting the topic. Purple, brother. Purple. So, We have to do purple for royalty and pink for Tamia since she is a girl who is marrying to royalty. Now, your tuxedo will have purple, pink and of course, black since you love it so much. We will talk with the designer and he will know how to incorporate the colors together," she had said, and I smiled at that. I had dreaded wearing a purple suit to my own wedding. That's how I found myself today, with a black tuxedo that was laced with pink flowers at the breast pocket, a pink lace at the side pockets and around the sleeves and around the collar. The shirt was purple and a pink body. Kira was also wearing a similar suit except that his was all black and a pink shirt. Apparently, he couldn't wear purple even though he was my beta. Aurora was wearing a pink dress with hues of purple here and there, like in the small tiara she was wearing and the band around her hands and her shoes. I was led to a chair at the front of the arena, and when Kira and I entered the venue, everyone stood up and there was soothing violin music to usher me in. After I sat, everyone else followed suit. It was time to welcome the bride. Since Tamia didn't have a father to usher her in, it had been planned that I will go for her at the doors. These doors had been put there as temporary props by whoever Aurora had hired to do the venue, and I have to say it, he did a damn good job. It looked like we were in a big theater hall, other than our normal ground. After a while, smooth piano notes filled the air, and that's when the whole band started playing, and by a whole band, I mean a whole band, you know, a conductor, 5 violinists, harps, trumpets, saxophones, drums, pianos, guitars and all. The music they played was like a mixture of fine food prepared by top Michelin star chefs. It was so beautiful and made the whole thing this much beautiful. I stood up and waited, and when I saw Aurora at the door holding a bouquet of pink roses, I knew it was time. I walked slowly as we had practiced until I reached the big doors. They were opened and they revealed a goddess floating on a cloud. She was so beautiful that I felt like whisking her away at that moment. She looked up and although she was veiled, I could tell that she was smiling underneath. I stopped because the gown was covering a very huge space, and I didn't want to step on it. "Just walk on it here and you will see where your feet should go," Aurora directed, and the girls that were helping hold the long white train held it well. I walked carefully and I saw the 2 holes. I placed my feet in them and I now realized why Aurora and Tamia had insisted I be the one to go for her at the doors. I looked like I had become part of her cloud as I took her hand and hooked it in mine. "Are you okay?" I asked her because this was the first time I was seeing her in days. "Never been better," she answered in a whisper that carried to my ears. I smiled at her to show her that it was a good thing she was good. When we turned and faced the inside of the hall, they all stood up, and the music intensified. We walked to the rhythm of the music until we were at the front. Kira and Aurora took us to where the oracle was standing with the elders near a small round altar. The altar was lit with candles of different colors, making it look ethereal. This was the only thing Aurora didn't dictate how it should look like. "Today we are gathered here to witness the holy union of Alpha Killian and Tamia," the oracle began, when we stood as he instructed, facing him with our backs to the crowd. "These 2 souls have been joined together by the moon goddess herself and, as such, our work is to just bless their union," he continued. He lifted a jar full of water and gave it to Tamia. "Wash your beloved's face," he said, and she did. She dipped her palm in the water and washed my face thrice. I was given the same jar and I did the same for her, with Aurora holding the veil in a way that no one would see her face yet. After we were done, we were asked to kneel down, and it was actually very comfortable because I was fearing that we would destroy Tamia's gown. "You 2 are blessed in that the moon goddess had seen it fit that you be together as husband and wife. This union should last for a long time to come. Love each other and take care of each other. Have many puppies that will watch over this pack in the future. Listen to each other and be ready to die for each other. If you agree, pick this razor and mix your blood in this bowl," the oracle instructed, and I didn't hesitate. I took the razor and made a laceration on my palm and dripped a few drops in the bowl. I put the razor on the table and Tamia took it and did the same. The oracle was handed a jar of clean water by his assistant and he poured it in the bowl. He lifted the bowl and prayed for it and then gave us to drink, and we did. This signified that we were one. We had taken a blood oath and there was no parting. We were at each other now. There was no turning back. Everyone was there, from alphas of other neighboring packs to our own pack members and other invited guests. I didn't even know most of them, but I had Kira with me to tell me through our link who they all were when it came to welcoming them. I was at the main gates at exactly 6 in the evening in my tuxedo with my best man, my beta obviously, greeting and welcoming guests. Tamia wasn't to be seen until later. She was a mystery, and that was what made a wolf's wedding anticipatory and exciting. Everyone wanted to see her, and so they would stay until they saw her. I was one of the strongest alphas around, and I am sure that all these wolves were here to see who would tie me down. Many older wolves had approached me for liaisons and partnerships in our packs, and obviously, they came with the old school mentality, a marriage bond that would last centuries. What they didn't know was that I couldn't marry just anyone. I had the curse, and I was a lover looking for the savior. Thus, to avoid embarrassment and bad rapport, I was at the doors with Kira, who was introducing anyone I didn't know, and they were of importance to us as a neighbor, a potential business partner or such. It was not until almost 2 hours later that we were done and it was time to go to the wedding venue. The venue was our normal training and combat grounds, but it had been transformed that it looked like we were in another planet. Tamia had come to me asking if she could use the flowers from our garden for the wedding, and how could I say no to her? Even if she had requested that the venue be in the garden itself, it would have been my joy to grant her her wish. Thus, when I looked around, I could see traces of some of the exotic flowers species I had to import. It smelled so nice and everything looked warm. The pink and purple color they had chosen went so well with the flowers, and it made the whole place look warm. Why do you want purple? Can't we use just any other color? Use black. It's my favorite anyway. I had argued with Aurora when she suggested it. Has it ever occurred to you that you are the king of this pack? She asked me, giving me that same look my mom used to give me when she was admonishing me. Yes, of course. But what does that have to do with the theme color of my wedding? I wanted to know, because purple of all colors? You are hopeless, she said, as she sat next to me and took my hand in hers. Brother, you are the king, and do you know what the color of royalty of our pack is? She asked me. Was that taught in school? I wondered, because I don't remember learning about it. When would you have heard about it, even if it was taught in school when you were busy running after girls and training? Tell me, big bro, how many classes did you attend per semester? She asked me, bringing back the happy memories we had made before Aida happened in our lives. So, what's our color? I asked, diverting the topic. Purple, brother. Purple.so. We have to do purple for royalty and pink for Tamia, since she is a girl who is marrying to royalty. Now, your tuxedo will have purple, pink, and of course, black, since you love it so much. We will talk with the designer and he will know how to incorporate the colors together, she had said, and I smiled at that. I had dreaded wearing a purple suit to my own wedding. That's how I found myself today, with a black tuxedo that was laced with pink flowers at the breast pocket, a pink lace at the side pockets and around the sleeves and around the collar. The shirt was purple and a pink body. Kira was also wearing a similar suit, except that his was all black and a pink shirt. Apparently, he couldn't wear purple even though he was my beta. Aurora was wearing a pink dress with hues of purple here, and they're like in the small tiara she was wearing and the band around her hands and her shoes. I was led to a chair at the front of the arena, and when Kira and I entered the venue, everyone stood up and there was soothing violin music to usher me in. After I sat, everyone else followed suit. It was time to welcome the bride, since Tamia didn't have a father to usher her in. It had been planned that I will go for her at the doors. These doors had been put there as temporary props by whoever Aurora had hired to do the venue, and I have to say it, he did a damn good job. It looked like we were in a big theater hall other than our normal ground. After a while, smooth piano notes filled the air, and that's when the whole band started playing. And by a whole band, I mean a whole band. You know, a conductor, 5 violinists, harps, trumpets, saxophones, drums, pianos, guitars, and all the music they played was like a mixture of fine food prepared by top Michelin star chefs. It was so beautiful and made the whole thing this much beautiful. I stood up and waited, and when I saw Aurora at the door holding a bouquet of pink roses, I knew it was time. I walked slowly as we had practiced until I reached the big doors. They were opened and they revealed a goddess floating on a cloud. She was so beautiful that I felt like whisking her away at that moment. She looked up, and although she was veiled, I could tell that she was smiling underneath. I stopped because the gown was covering a very huge space and I didn't want to step on it. Just walk on it here and you will see where your feet should go, Aurora directed, and the girls that were helping hold the long white train held it well. I walked carefully and I saw the 2 holes. I placed my feet in them, and I now realized why Aurora and Tamia had insisted I be the one to go for her at the doors. I looked like I had become part of her cloud as I took her hand and hooked it in mine. Are you okay? I asked her because this was the first time I was seeing her in days. Never been better, she answered in a whisper that carried to my ears. I smiled at her to show her that it was a good thing she was good. When we turned and faced the inside of the hall, they all stood up, and the music intensified. We walked to the rhythm of the music until we were at the front. Kira and Aurora took us to where the oracle was standing with the elders near a small round altar. The altar was lit with candles of different colors, making it look ethereal. This was the only thing Aurora didn't dictate how it should look like. Today we are gathered here to witness the holy union of Alpha Killian and Tamia. The oracle began when we stood as he instructed, facing him with our backs to the crowd. These two souls have been joined together by the moon goddess herself, and as such, our work is to just bless their union. He continued. He lifted a jar full of water and gave it to Tamia. Wash your beloved's face, he said, and she did. She dipped her palm in the water and washed my face thrice. I was given the same jar and I did the same for her, with Aurora holding the veil in a way that no one would see her face yet. After we were done, we were asked to kneel down, and it was actually very comfortable because I was fearing that we would destroy Tamia's gown. You two are blessed in that the moon goddess had seen it fit that you be together as husband and wife. This union should last for a long time to come. Love each other and take care of each other. Have many puppies that will watch over this pack. In the future, listen to each other and be ready to die for each other. If you agree, pick this razor and mix your blood in this bowl. The oracle instructed, and I didn't hesitate. I took the razor and made a laceration on my palm and dripped a few drops in the bowl. I put the razor on the table, and Tamia took it and did the same. The oracle was handed a jar of clean water by his assistant and he poured it in the bowl. He lifted the bowl and prayed for it and then gave us to drink, and we did. This signified that we were one. We had taken a blood oath and there was no parting. We were at each other now, there was no turning back. I was fidgeting on my seat where I sat as we waited for my time to enter the wedding venue. So many thoughts were running through my mind and none of them was pleasant. What if Killian changed his mind? What if Logan followed me here and he crashes my wedding? What if all these people learn the truth about me? What if something bad happens and makes Killian not want to marry me anymore? Those among others. I had been through so much shit that all the good things that were happening in my life looked like a farce. None of it seemed real. I knew maybe it was a low self-esteem or low self-worth, but could you blame me? I was a poor omega since I was born, and Dad had to work hard to make ends meet. And then he died, leaving me at the mercy of the man who killed him. Logan rejected me after using and abusing me, and he insulted me, making me feel like I was below trash. He said words that can't be repeated before people, and they made me hate myself. Although Killian has shown that he is different, I can't help but worry about it sometimes. A good thing is I have Aurora with me, and she is kinda anchoring me down. She is a living proof that all this is real. She is treating me like a real sister, and sometimes I wonder what I did to deserve such good friends. But then I fear for her because I don't want to bring her harm the way I did to Alana. Aurora, after I told you Alana's story, aren't you afraid that I would bring harm your way? I ask her all of a sudden as she is fussing all over my dress with the other girls. What nonsense are you spouting now? Have you gone nuts? Did you kill her? Did you ask somebody to kill her? She asked me and clicked as if she was annoyed by me. Today is your wedding day. Use that time to think of all the styles you will use to satisfy your husband's sexual urges tonight instead of thinking nonsense. She said, and she has always amazed me. How is she able to speak such words without even batting an eyebrow? The other girls pretended that they didn't hear what she had said and continued straightening here and there on the gown. Here, after what seemed like hours and hours, Aurora finally handed me a bouquet of flowers. They were a mixture of purple hydrangeas and pink orchids. Aurora had thought everything out. The bouquet looked exquisite and went well with the wedding theme. We walked to the doors, and when the doors opened, I saw him. Killian was standing at the front in a black tuxedo, and he looked so gorgeous. I smiled with tears in my eyes, because it looked like this was all true. It was finally happening. As Killian held my hand and led me inside. As we walked towards the oracle, as we took the oath and mixed our blood, I wasn't myself. I was somewhere in seventh heaven smiling with the angels. I couldn't believe that Killian had agreed to tie himself to me for life. When the oracle talked about mixing our blood together and put the razor on the table, Killian took it so quickly that he looked impatient to get this over and done with. We drank each other's blood and the bond was created. It was like we became a part of each other. My heart was beating for him, and it was time for us to wear the crowns and become the king and queen officially. After drinking the mixture, the oracle looked at us and smiled. You may rise, he said, and Killian jumped to his feet. He then helped me slowly stand and he treated me like the queen I was about to become. Killian and Tamia, do you promise to take care of Midnight Pack? Do you promise to rule with justice and fairness? Do you promise to help all regardless of class or status? Do you promise to put the well-being of the pack before yours? He asked, and indicated for Killian to answer first. Yes, I promise, Killian said in that deep voice I so loved when he whispered to me while turning me this way and that way during lovemaking. Yes, I do. I promise, I stuttered because my mind had been distracted as I was thinking of that voice. Bring the crowns, the oracle ordered. 2 elders, a man and a woman, walked towards us. They were both wearing white and pink robes, like the oracle, and they were carrying each a pillow with a crown on it. Mine was also a crown, not a tiara as I had expected. The oracle took Killian's crown first, lifted it, and prayed to the gods. He then walked to Killian, who knelt down on one leg, and the crown was placed on his head. There was maddening applause and cheers when that happened. After that, the oracle took the smaller crown that was carried by the woman and did the same as the cheers died down. I didn't kneel but just bowed slightly as we had practiced. He placed the crown on top of my veil and then stood up. Now, by the powers vested in me, I now pronounce Killian Blake and Tamia Kalo not only husband and wife but also king and queen of Midnight Pack. The oracle bellowed and there was another bout of maddening applause and cheers. Can we now see her face? The oracle asked. Killian looked at me and then shook his head. The crowd laughed and booed at him. We want to see our queen. We want to see her, they said, and he sighed as if they were making him do the impossible. He lifted my crown and gave it to the oracle to hold for him, and then he carefully used his 2 hands to lift my veil. He was standing in front of me, and they wouldn't see me until he moved. He lifted the veil and straightened it well behind my head, and then took the crown again and placed it well on my head. You look gorgeous, he told me with a smile. He then lifted his hand and started counting with his fingers. The people started counting with him. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they said, and Killian didn't move. There were jeers of ahs and oohs. As people were annoyed with him. Move, they demanded. We demand to see our queen, others said. He laughed that small laugh he normally does, and then started counting again. A T1. He moved and I looked at that sea of people who were all awing and wowing as if they have never seen me again. I didn't know how I looked with the crown on me, but I guessed I was as beautiful as a queen. Wait, I was a real queen. I smiled at them and waved regally as I had been shown, and they clapped and cheered, and then it started with one person before it became a chant all over. Kiss the bride, one said. Kiss the queen, another said. Kiss, 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 kiss. They chanted as they clapped in rhythm to the chant. I was blushing from there to heaven, and I wished they would stop. But I also knew this was part of a wedding and a little teasing wouldn't hurt. Killian looked at me and smiled that smile I usually think is only reserved for me because I have never seen him smile at another person like that. He then lowered his head and claimed my lips. There was deafening cheering as he kissed me, and the king took his time. You are finally mine, he said after he broke the kiss. Yes, was my affirmation. I was happy, happier than I had been in years. The last time I was this happy when my parents had been alive. I wished Papa would have been here to watch me get married to one of the most powerful wolves in the world. I hoped that Killian would live to become a wolf king one day. Currently, there hadn't been a wolf king in these regions in hundreds of years. I was going to help him get there. It would be my repayment for everything he had done for me. It was finally happening. No, it had already happened. Tamia was mine and I was now officially the king of my pack. Let me explain something here just for clarity. In our world, one became a full king if they got married by a certain age and if they came directly from the royal family. This is because it is usually common for wolves to get married early, because we get mated mostly at the transformation ceremonies. But for a few of us, we get our mates much later. In my case, it happened when I was 27 with Tamia. For my sister, who is 25 currently, it hasn't happened yet. Her first mate rejected her and she is still waiting. Anyway, here I was now, wearing my dad's crown and Tamia wearing mom's. Tamia and I will visit their graves tomorrow before we go for our honeymoon. It will be to assure them that they could now rest in peace because the pack was now safe. With Tamia and I as the leaders, they were in safe hands. It was the least I could do. Dad must have died with a lot of regrets. Anyway, I was kissing Tamia after teasing these people for a while. It was a happy occasion as they indulged me. I was also happy that Tamia was as beautiful as they all expected. I had the most beautiful queen in these regions, and all the teasing before raising her veil was worth it. She would be fit to be one of the princesses in our folk tales that we usually tell our children. When the oracle declared us married and royalty officially, I felt my heart leave my chest for a while due to happiness. I was so happy, and I still am. After the vows and the kissing, it was almost midnight, and it was time for the midnight mating. Tamia would have been supposed to conceive at this moment if she was an Omega. But I got a Beta though. How? She started as an Omega and then turned to a Beta was still a mystery even to her. She couldn't explain it as she always thought that she was an Omega. But we would find that later because I had business to do. Rora and the female elders of the pack took her away, and I knew it was to get her ready because I was also taken by the elders. We would be using the same hall we were in, but the roof would be raised so that the moon could shine directly on us. 10 minutes to midnight. The bell rang and I was taken back to the altar. I was only in my boxer briefs and I could hear girls hold their breaths at what they saw. Too bad that my heart beat for my wife and only her. My wife. My wife. The words roll very well on my tongue. Tamia was then brought in and she was in a very revealing camisole. It was barely covering her big arse, but at least she had a panty inside. But it was a G-string, and I was happy that the lights were off, though the place was full of wolves, who could see very well even at night. I took her hand, and when midnight struck, I held her by the cheeks and claimed her lips. She was shaking slightly, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy mating before all these people. Heck, I was also nervous. Pretend that it's just the two of us here. I talked to her through our mind link that had been activated the moment we took each other's blood, and she looked at me surprised. I guess she hadn't known that she had that ability yet. She nodded subtly and closed her eyes as she returned the kiss. Time to change, I said, and we did. Black was shining in the moonlight, and Tamia's Sasha was the most beautiful wolf I have ever seen. She is so white that she could blind someone even in the moonlight. I heard people wow and wow when they saw her. I felt like hiding her, but this was something we must do because we were the leaders of the pack. Black snuggled on Sasha's neck and she whimpered. You ready? I asked through the link again and she nodded. She snuggled up to me this time and bit me slightly on the neck. She then moved under me and she was horny already. She was ready. She was ready for me. Good thing was that Black is slightly bigger than her, and I thus would not have a hard time mounting her. I kissed her slightly on her back and she whimpered with each bite. Black then used his leg to push her below him and he mounted her. She was so hot and I felt like howling, but it wasn't time yet. She raised her tail and allowed me to penetrate her, and it was like penetrating a virgin. She was so warm and tight, and I could feel her excitement as she received me. I started pumping as she fell on her knees, with whimpers of pleasure, and she was driving me crazy. Why was she so beautiful and warm? I continued making love to her, and I was biting her gently on the back and neck, and she raised her muzzle and we kissed. It wasn't a kiss like how we kiss in our human form, but we licked, and it was so good that I couldn't help it, and I pumped in quick motions as I felt the heat gather at my groin from throughout my body. I exploded in her and I felt my dick swell, and I knew even without being told that I was nodding. It elongated and I felt my big stick knocking at Tamia's womb opening. I howled then. I lifted my head up and howled to the moon, and she followed suit, where my howl was scruffy. Hers was soft as a stream's water in the middle of the night, where my voice was demanding and commanding. Hers was shooting. It was like playing a bass and an acoustic guitar at the same time, and the notes agreed with each other. After that, she opened her womb and I felt myself enter, and I felt my brain go for a break because of how sweet it was. It was the sweetest I have ever felt since we started making love, and it had been a while. By now, we weren't even remembering that there were other people with us. Heck, they could watch for all it was worth. I continued pumping into her and I finally felt myself gather the heat again, and I knew I was going to pour my seed in her. That was all I wanted to do. Pour my seed into my queen's womb. I always fantasized about my little puppies growing in her womb, and at that thought I poured again. She whimpered as she opened wider, and I pumped for almost 30 seconds after the first spurt, and she milked me of everything I had. I then lowered my legs and fell on her. I waited for the nodding to undo itself and I spoke to her. Are you okay? I asked. Yes. Yes, I am, she said, and I could tell that she had enjoyed it as much as I had. After a while, I withdrew from her, and the oracle came towards us with his pot and sprinkled some fragrant water on us and declared us blessed. "You can now go and change and join the celebrations," he said, and there were cheers and applause everywhere. We were now officially recognized as husband and wife and king and queen of the Midnight Pack. I had nodded Tamia, and I wasn't sure she would get pregnant since she was a beta, but I hoped she did. I would continue doting on her, and having an addition would be proof of our union and love. We went to our room and wore the clothes that had been laid on the bed for us for the reception celebrations and the speeches and gift-giving. Tamia's was a purple and pink evening dress, and mine was another tux. It was purple and a pink shirt. I was going to kill Aurora. Tamia assured me that I looked handsome in it, and we walked back to the hall. It was the most beautiful night I had ever had with these many people. There was food everywhere. There was wine, our very own traditional beer. And the gifts, they had already filled the room Aurora had set apart, and she was forced to make do with Tamia's old room in the castle. Music was there by request. We danced, we had merry, and I was married. "Let's go for our honeymoon," I told Tamia. "We haven't visited your parents," she said, and Aurora took her hand and sneered at me. "Horny much?" she said, and I just smiled. Who wouldn't be horny with a wife like Tamia? "Tammy, you are my best friend and now my sister-in-law." I thus thought about it long and hard whether to tell you the truth, and I decided to, because maybe talking about it will help me heal too. "I heard what Killian told you about my mate, but I pretended not to have heard because I didn't want him to feel guilty for telling you. This is something I have never talked to anyone about, and you are the first one," Roar began. Like any other wolf, she had been mated at the age of 17 when she turned. She had been mated to the son of her dad's beta. His name was Makai. Kai for short. Kai was the sweetest man ever according to Aurora. He loved her. I remember when he first told me that. He loved me. We had been training in the grounds and everyone else had gone to take a bath, and it was our turn to clean the room. We were 14 at the time. He was tall, lean, and dark. He was handsome and the darkest person I had ever seen. His skin shone wherever he went, and I loved him. "Tamia, I loved him," she said with a dreamy smile that I knew very well. Thus, when he told me that he loved me, it was like a dream come true. We would sneak all around the pack, sneaking kisses here and there, and yes, Tamia, we had sex. It was a taboo, but I was willing to break any rules for him. I couldn't hold myself, and we both knew that if we were mated to another person, it would kill us. But I gave him my first time because I wanted it to be him, even if I was mated to another wolf. I wanted my first time to be Kai. I loved him. She didn't have to repeat herself because I could tell that she did. Her eyes, her voice, all spoke of how she loved him. Imagine my joy that night we turned to discover that he was actually my mate. My goddess-given mate. It was the best gift anyone could have given me, and I couldn't ask for more. I couldn't. We loved each other. We did. That dreamy look again, and by now, tears were glistening in her eyes. They looked like pieces of convex lens that were sliding out of the eyes, and they would fall at any moment if she didn't push them back in. But I didn't say anything. I wanted her to continue since she had decided to start, and if I cut her short, she might never get the courage again. It was just like me when I was telling her about Alana. Then came our 20th birthday. It was the day we were supposed to get married. We had prepared everything. Tamia. That pair of convex lens finally fell, but it fell in the form of a clear liquid that formed little rivulets across her cheeks, down her chin to her neck, and others down her cleavage. She didn't wipe them, no. She just let them fall. He came to me a week before our marriage in tears. He was crying, "Tamia, and you have never seen something hurtful than seeing the person you would die for in pain." Killian had gone. It was one of those bloody blood moons, and it was just me and Kira here. Killian was supposed to be back for the wedding, of course. He told me that he had heard that his father was dead. His father had been killed in a forest south of our pack, where they had apparently gone to investigate wolf murders. Kai and a few other warriors went to investigate and bring the bodies of our people back, but he never came back, Tamia. He never did. All we got much later when we went to look for them, Kira and I, were dried bones, and we couldn't tell whose was which. I made Kira promise that he would never tell my brother that that was where Kai died, she said, and I held her. I wanted to hug her, but she stopped me. "Let me finish. If I don't, I will never tell it again," she said, as she took the handkerchief I handed her and started wiping her snort. "Why don't you want your brother to know how your mate died?" I asked her. "Why? Maybe he could have investigated and found out who killed them." "Because, Tamia, it was Killian who killed them," she said, and I jumped to my feet. What you mean?" Oh, heavens. I could not even form a coherent sentence. This was bad. "Sit," she ordered, and I did. He was in the state he usually was whenever he was possessed by the blood moon, and how could he have known? Apparently, Kai's dad, together with several other wolves from our pack, wanted to kill Killian, and they thus sneaked out and followed him, but they were killed instead. Thus, when we received the reports that they had been killed, we thought that it was someone else, but Killian told us about it later when he returned. They had cornered him before he could fully transform, and as given, his first instinct as an animal was to protect himself, and they were no match for him. Thus, when Kai and the others arrived, they had no idea that they would be facing the bloodthirsty Lycan, and Killian was no longer himself to know what he was doing. When my brother asked me where Kai went, I lied that he rejected me and left the pack. I would rather let him hate Kai than let him blame himself for Kai's death. By now, I was also crying with and for her. It was so painful and a dilemma, and she took the path she thought easier for her. She thought that making her brother think that her mate had left her was easier than him dying in his brother's arms. Don't you blame Killian at all? I asked because I know some would. What would I do? I don't know. But if I didn't hate Logan after all he did to me, maybe I would also be like Aurora. How could I blame him, Tammy? It was them who went looking for trouble. If my would-be father-in-law didn't go looking for brother and they all knew how powerful he was, how would they have been killed? And if he hadn't been killed, would Kai have needed to go? No. So, who should I blame? I blame my father-in-law and the group he was with, whatever made them think that they could kill brother and in that state at all. Everyone knows that Lycans are the strongest even without the curse, and so, I don't blame brother. I blame Kai's dad. We all knew what the curse meant and they went to try him. I never even got to bury Kai properly because we couldn't even know whose bones were which, and we thus had a mass burial for them. It still hurts here, Tammy. It hurts, she said, indicating her heart with her fist, and this time, she came for a hug and I was just too willing to soothe her. Shh, it's okay, baby. It's okay. I'm sure that the goddess has another plan in store for you, I said. She broke the hug and looked at me. What plan, Tammy? She gave me Kai and then took him from me. I had love and she took it away. She lamented, and I gave her that look of, are you seriously serious? What? She asked. Look at me. What do you see? Have you forgotten my story? Have you forgotten what Logan did? And now look at me. I have a mate who loves me and treats me like the sun rises from my arse. I joked and she laughed at that. You are right. Sometimes I am really pessimistic, especially when I remember Kai and it has been 5 years. Tammy, she says. Maybe the goddess has already answered your prayers and you are either too blind to see or an idiot, I said with my eyebrows dancing in a teasing manner. What do you mean? She inquired, and I guess you are an idiot then. Haven't you noticed how Kira looks at you? He's clearly in love with you, silly. I told her and she gasped. What? What do you mean? Oh, and I thought she was the eldest here and the most experienced. You really don't know? I asked honestly. She really doesn't know? How? It is obvious for everyone. I haven't noticed, really. Do you know that Kira's wife was Kai's elder sister? That's why it would never have occurred to me that he was in love with me, because for the longest time, I considered him a relative, she said, and I held her. Oh, sweetie, sorry. Wait, did his wife? I didn't finish, and I could tell that she understood me. No, she got sick. She got a flu that is usually detrimental to wolves. She had went to the sea and she was pregnant, and the doctor said that she must have either stepped or touched a very poisonous fish called I forget the name. Anyway, she did not feel the pain at first, and by the time we all realized that she was sick, it was too late to save either the mother or the baby. That was a year before Kai, she said, and I sighed with relief. So, Carrie loves me? She asked. No one in particular. It was like she was munching on the words, trying to understand them. I was traumatized, so to say. I always thought that Aurora was the happiest among us because she always smiled the brightest, but would you look at that? She had gone through so much, but she still smiled that brightly. My respect to her. I couldn't even tell Killian what his sister and I talked about, because it would mean me telling him what it was all about, and I thus chose not to tell him. It is not lying if you don't say anything, is it? Fortunately, he also didn't ask. He knew I would tell him if and when I wanted to. We talked to Kira and Aurora a day later, and she seemed happier, and she even winked at me as I hugged her and told me that she was hopeful. I wished her well, and Killian and I left. We were driving a very expensive big car that looked like a Lycan in terms of power. I really don't know much about vehicles, but I knew a good thing if and when I saw one. Why don't we take a smaller car? I asked. Wouldn't a smaller car go faster? I thought. Queen, a car's strength depends on its horsepower, and this is a beast. It's called a Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG 6x6 because of a reason. It has a horse power of 536. That means we can go for days without it overheating. We are traversing the country and we need a vehicle that won't keep overheating or breaking down. Also, I am a Lycan, an alpha. I need a car to match my status, he lamented, and I wondered how he could tell what I was thinking. And I remembered that I said that with our link open. Nothing of what he said made sense to me, but the car was comfortable. And I smiled at him as an apology. Maybe I will never understand most people's obsession with vehicles. As long as a vehicle can take me from A to B, that's all. We started our journey towards north of the sea and we would branch towards east to Silver Moon Pack. It was time I dealt with issues that were still affecting my life. We needed to find out who it was that killed Alana, and why frame me. Also, I felt like I would get an answer to the riddle. That witch said, she was happy that they changed my fate. What did she mean? Our journey was very eventful. Killian treated it as a second honeymoon. And I was happy. He would stop at cities and spoil me. We slept in expensive hotels in Upto now. I didn't know how rich he actually was. All I knew was that he owned a few companies and that Midnight Pack was almost self-sufficient and only a few things were bought from the outside and they exported a lot outside. They sold processed cotton for cloth making. That meant that most of the clothes we wore in the pack were made there. They also exported green beans, potatoes, coffee among others, and I haven't even talked about pyrethrum and garlic. Anyway, that wasn't the matter as long as he loved me. And, oh, have I said that as the queen? I was on the payroll now? Yes, I was. I was finally earning by doing something I loved, helping others. And being a queen, although if you ask me, I felt like it was unfair. Isn't this something I was supposed to do as the king's wife? All the same, we arrived in Silver Moon City 4 days later and we didn't want to raise eyebrows or call attention to ourselves. Thus, when we got there, Killian left his vehicle in a rented garage and we hired a smaller vehicle. We then rented a room in a 2-star hotel. I looked different from the Tamia people here knew, but there was no need of taking chances. So, I disguised myself through makeup. Like Aurora had taught me, I was able to transform myself and look like a totally different person. We spent the first day with me showing Killian the town I grew up in. It wasn't as big as the main city, but it was big enough. Dad and I would come here almost every weekend and we would eat ice cream here, I told Killian through our link. As we took a bench in an ice cream shop and I asked him to go and choose, there are some things I could not say out loud because I could never tell who was an enemy or a friend. He came back with a bowl of shaved ice cream. It was a mixture chocolate, strawberry and vanilla. It was simply heavenly and I was already salivating. We ate as we talked until Alia, the owner of the shop, approached us. Hello? My name is Alia, the owner of the shop. Would you mind if I joined you for a while, please? She asked and Killian looked at me. I was nervous. Had she discovered who I was? I nodded and she sat on the other side of the table. The table had 2 benches, one on each side, and Killian and I were sitting on one side. Are you 2 new here? She asked. Yes. We just got married like a month ago and we have been going round the country and here we are, Killian said, and it wasn't a lie per se. Oh, welcome to our small city. I've been here for so long that I know everyone. Many children have grown up in this shop eating ice cream here on these old benches, she said, and I felt that she was trying to communicate something. Oh, nice to know. Maybe we will be your regular customers, I said, and she smiled at me. If you settle here, maybe, and if I won't be dead by then, she said, and I frowned at her. Why talk of death when you seem healthy? Killian took the words out of my mouth. Alia was one of those ladies you treat like a grandmother because she treated us all like her grandchildren. After eating ice cream at her shop and Dad paid, she would always give me a cup to take home and I would eat it the following day. I had hundreds of such empty cups at home, and I would play with them. By the way, I am a wolf and I could tell from a mile away that you too are, despite the fact that you have really hidden your auras. She is a beta, but you are an alpha of some kind. She addressed Killian and I sat there wide-mouthed. How did she? Are you some kind of an oracle? I asked her and she laughed loudly, a clear happy laugh that would lie to someone that she was a young girl. But now that I think of it, she has always been like this. She never ages or changes. Could she be older than she let Puke think? Don't be silly, me lady. I am just an old wolf who has seen a lot that I am able to tell. You can call it a lucky guess. You two are welcome to stay here as long as you want. Why did I approach you? She asked, then held her chin as if she was really trying to remember hard. Oh yes. What kind of a wolf are you? She asked Killian. He looked at me as if calling for help, and I held his hand and squeezed it. It was to assure him that Alia was okay, to trust. I am a Lycan, and the current king of my pack, and this is my queen. We come from south of the sea, from Midnight Pack, he said, and at that, Alia stood up. Forgive me, your majesties, she said, as she made as if to kneel, and I jumped and held her. Don't do that, please. We are trying to keep a low profile, and you can always treat us like your customers, because that's what we are, Alia, I said as I helped her sit again. Thank you. I always knew you were meant for greatness. Your star was always destined to shine brightest, she said with a dreamy look, and Killian and I looked at each other. Are you all right? Who are you talking about? I asked her. Oh, sorry. I blabbed without thinking again. Didn't I? She asked with a small laugh. Don't mind me. I was thinking of a girl I used to know. Her name was Tamia, and her father was one of the bestest friends I ever had, she said, and at that, I couldn't move. Tamia? It was Killian who asked. I wasn't afraid per se that Alia had mentioned my name. What I was surprised because of all the people Alia could have said look like but settled on me. I wondered if she had discovered who I was, but I decided to play it safe the way she was. I decided to play her game and see where she was getting with her cryptic words. I wasn't afraid of getting caught because Killian and I could fight, and I was powerful enough now, but that would mean that our investigation would be jeopardized. Yes. She was called Tamia, the daughter of my best friend, Kalo, she said, and there was no doubt now that she was definitely talking about me. What happened to her? You talk of her in the last tense like she is no longer alive, Killian asked. I could not trust myself to ask, because I was sure my voice would come out hoarse. Yes, no one really knows what happened to her. One moment she was being tortured on the pack, and the next she was gone without a trace. Do you think that the Alpha could have killed her and stuffed her in a freezer? That is something he would definitely do. She was the sweetest girl ever. I always thought that she looked like the queen. Was made for royalty, that one, Alia said with a nostalgic look on her face. What happened to her? Killian continued probing, and I now knew what he was doing. This was a nice way of asking for information in a subtle way. Oh, terrible. What happened to her was terrible. She was falsely accused, the young girl, and I hear that she was brutally tortured. She almost died, and I wish that she is okay wherever she is and that she plans to come back one day and avenge herself and her father, Alia said, and I almost jumped out of my seat. You see, I know that girl from the moment she was born. She talked as if she knew that Tamia was alive, as she did not use the past tense here. She was an angel, that one. The most beautiful creature in the pack. I watched as she grew without a mother. I was even there when her mother lost her first pregnancy. It was all so traumatizing. But they held on, and as luck would have it, Kalo got a job in the palace and life became better for the two. She became friends with the then princess, Alana, a beautiful girl who I always thought looked more like Kalo and his wife than Tamia did. Forgive my mouth, of course. I know that Kalo's wife could never have cheated, but you can never tell in a world like ours full of dark magic. Tamia looked more like the then queen than Alana ever did. She even had the king's jet black hair, and Alana had red hair exactly like Kalo's wife's. Anyway, Alana and Tamia became friends. And then one day, almost 2 years ago now, Alana was killed. They blamed Tamia, but she was too good a girl to kill another. But our Alpha did not want to listen to reason. We tried asking him to investigate further, but he refused. He was hell-bent into believing that she was the guilty party. But if you ask me, there was more than we all understood or thought. Anyway, our Alpha behaves like a rogue now. She said this part in a whisper as she looked at us. He is bloodthirsty and kills anyone who talks about Tamia. He is still very angry that he didn't kill her himself. A lot of us elders left the pack. We live outside because we are afraid that he might go mad any time and start a massacre. Our pack deserves better, if you ask me. Anyway, what am I blabbing about? Why did I start telling you about my friend's daughter? Oh yes, I remember now. If Logan, that's our Alpha, hears that I have been sighted with a girl who looks remotely like Tamia in any way, I will be killed. Anyway, stay safe, young one, queen. Stay safe. She made as if to rise, then sat again while looking at me. By the way, in disguise, young one, all tones should be similar. Your one cheek is bigger than the other one, and this side is paler than this one. Tomorrow come to me and I will help you before you go out. If Logan knows you are here, he We'll have you killed before you can start, she whispered, and then rose. Wait, I called to her in panic and speaking for the first time since she mentioned my name. Yes, Queen? She called with a knowing smile. Say you were Tamia and you wanted to investigate to clear your name. Where would you start seeing that? No investigations were ever launched, I asked her, and she sat down again. MPH. That's a tricky question. You see, it would really be hard because we aren't seers. But imagine there was an oracle or a seer she could trust. Maybe he could point her in the right direction. I really don't know, just guessing. You know one is almost senile when they get to my age. Oh, also, Tamia was brave, very brave. She wouldn't be afraid of getting caught because I am sure that wherever she went, the goddess favored her and she is more powerful now. For example, let me ask you. She again stretched so that she was very much near us and whispered almost inaudibly. What if Tamia always thought that she was an Omega? Then one day she wakes up a Beta. Wouldn't you say that there are dark powers at play? And who controls dark powers in our world? She said then laughed. Oh my goodness. I feel like all the customers will run away from my shop. Look at me telling fairy tale narratives here while I haven't put the ice lollies in the fridge. Please. Excuse me and visit again and to say welcome to Silvermoon. That shaved ice is on the house, but carry money tomorrow, she said loudly and then walked off to the counter. Killian and I looked at each other and continued eating our shaved ice. Alia had used so many riddles and metaphors that we needed time to synthesize all the information. But one thing was clear. She knew who I was and she was giving me pointers. She wanted me to visit the Pax Oracle and he would direct me in the right direction. 2. She insinuated that me being an Omega all my life and then becoming a Beta after I left was due to magic. Dark magic. It must have been very powerful magic then. Then I remembered the words of that witch. Changing my fate. Could it be that she knew what they did? Was it related to the war hundreds of years ago? Why didn't I remember to ask Alia about that? Baby, do you think we should ask her about that war 100 years ago? I asked him, and he also seemed to be lost in his own world. What? You think it has any connection to your case? He asked. I really don't know, but now thinking about it. Think of how she has talked about black magic to mask my wolf's real powers and what the witch who had to rescue Data said before she died. Don't you think? Maybe the two are related? Could they have changed my fate that way? Is that what she meant? I asked him, though I knew that he was also wondering the same thing. Don't think too much about it. We have just got here and we are yet to start. I am sure that by the time we are done, we will have all the answers. For now, show me more of this city and we will talk about it once we get to our room, if need be. We will ask her tomorrow when we come for your makeup. Isn't that what she said? That means that she already knows who you are, he said, and I looked at Alia. She was now talking to another customer pretending that we weren't there. Killian walked towards her and asked for a bucket of ice cream. He paid and thanked her then. He held my hand and we walked out. Could the answers I am seeking for be just within my grasp? I wondered as we walked down the street. Walk faster. You are wasting my time, that familiar voice said behind me as I showed Killian the field where Dad taught me how to skate. I tensed and Killian realized. I am not saying this because Tamia is my wife or anything like that, but because it's the truth. Tamia is one of the bravest people I have ever met, and I have met a lot. She has defied odds to be here today. She defeated the witches and freed me from the curse, something everyone else had been unable to do, and that is why no one can convince me otherwise. Thus, when I felt her tense, I knew something was wrong. We were watching people at this skating rink that had a lot of them of all ages, and Tamia was telling me how her dad would bring her here and teach her how to skate. I was asking her to skate with me when I felt her body tense against mine, and I wondered why, and I felt a man speak behind us. He had such a foul temper and he was speaking to a girl he was with. She seemed to have angered him in some way, and she was almost at the brink of tears. No girl deserved to be treated that way. No one. Who's that? I asked Tamia because I could tell that her behavior was due to that man. There was no one else around us except him and his companion. That's Logan, the alpha of Silvermoon Pack, she said through our link the way I had asked. I looked at the man then with a look of disgust on my face. He was tall and yes, I have to admit that he was in the category of the people I would call handsome, but he had nothing on me. He was spreading his aura everywhere and I could tell that he was one of those alphas who were drunk with power. I wished I could attack him there and then for everything he had done to Tamia, but she held me. I guess she could feel all the fury that was coursing through me, and she reminded me that we had enough time to do all that. The future is ours to do with as we please, she told me. And it was true. I had already told you that I don't like such kind of places and you still drag me here. What's there to do here? We are wolves and we can run wherever and whenever we want or even use a car. What's the need of learning how to skate? Logan, asked the girl he was with venom in his voice. We do it for pleasure. You need to rest out brains once in a while for all you do is work, work and work. The girl said, feigning happiness, though one could tell that her spirits were not happy. You speak as if you have a brain. Be quick with it then. I have something to do after this, he said, and I stopped listening. He was disgusting, so to say. I could tell what kind of a man he was from that little interaction with whoever that was. How were you able to put up with such an arrogant ass? I asked Tamia because, he wasn't always like that. There was a time he was very sweet. He changed after Alana died, she said, and I could, just a little bit, sympathize with him, but that did not give him the mandate to treat everyone as trash just because his sister died, when my mom died under mysterious circumstances and Dad did nothing about it. I was also like Logan there for a while. I blamed everyone and anyone who crossed my path for her death and for everything Dad did. By then, I had not realized that Aida was a witch. I thought that she had a witch working for her. It was because of my foul mood and always picking fights with my father did I have to move out of the palace, but I'm glad I listened to other people's counsel and I was able to go back to myself, even. The curse almost turned me to a bitter person, but I refused. I could not allow it to take the joy from my life. Let's go back to the hotel. We have a lot to discuss and strategies to lay out, and this place has been contaminated by bad aura already, Tamia said, and I agreed with her. Having that man here made the atmosphere poisonous and almost unbearable. We got back to the hotel and Tamia raised a veil to mask our scents and aura. It is also soundproof. We can say all we want and no one will be able to hear us, she said, and I looked at her with admiration. She was so powerful and I don't think she knew it. And even if she did, she never boasted about it. What do you think about what Alia said? I asked her because we could now strategize. Alia already knows who I am and what she wanted was to give me pointers. Anyone with brains could tell that it wasn't me who killed Alana, but I guess Logan couldn't see it. How could I kill her and then sleep there with the murder weapon in my hands? Wouldn't that have been stupid? Also, if I wanted to kill Alana, there were very many other methods I could have used. She was a beta and thus more powerful than I was, but I guess Logan never considered that. How could I, a submissive Omega, beat a beta and stab her to death? Tamia reasoned and she was right. He either is an idiot, which I think is the case, or an entitled lazy arse who doesn't like getting tired. Investigating would have been tedious and he didn't want it. He was content with blaming you and getting out all his frustrations through torturing you, I supplied, because I couldn't come up with anything else. Or do you think that he had been bewitched into blaming me? Tamia asked as she sat on the vanity table cleaning out the makeup she had worn. What for? Weren't you just a weak poor Omega? Why would anyone put it all on you? Not unless there is more to you than we know, and that's where we need to start, I said, and she agreed with me. I think that the reason why Tamia was an Omega and then her beta came out after she left this place was because someone had been on her case since she was young. But how and why? That was yet to be found out. So, where do we start tomorrow? I asked her as she walked towards me looking like her dashing self again. From Alia. Since she has decided to help us, we should start from there and maybe she will tell us where to start looking. If she doesn't, we will find a way of getting into the pack and meeting the Oracle, she said, and I guess she was right. She was powerful enough to get us in and I was eager to start investigating this case because I wanted my wife to walk the world without fear of meeting these people and them threatening her. We ordered dinner and I tried different cuisine from what is usually served south where I come from. Tamia recommended some and they were all delicious. Their local brew was very good but not as good as ours down south. Tamia told me that all local beers here are fermented for not less than 10 years. We ate and drank and talked and we forgot, for a minute there, why we were here. I wanted Tamia to enjoy this trip. Despite everything, I knew that once we started, we will be very busy to even have such an evening. After the meal, it was still too early and we didn't want to go to bed that early. We thus started playing some games. We hadn't carried any and so we used our phones. We started with checkers and I regretted playing against Tamia. She was so good in it that I wasn't able to even win one. We enjoyed all the same. Where I was able to win at least 2 games was in chess. She also knew this one and she said that it was all because her dad would teach her. She was surprised when I told her that I was the second best in chess in our pack after the Oracle. Around 8, while we were about to go to sleep, Tamia all started complaining of stomach ache out of the blue. Her lower abdomen was aching and it was very strange for a wolf to be sick. I tried all I could by giving her first aid as she directed me, and after a while, she complained of nausea. And she ran to the bathroom where she poured the dinner she had just taken. She was so pale and sweaty by the time she was done that I was scared. I ordered some light food for her, and by the time the food was getting there, she was alright and didn't look sick at all. What kind of a bug did you catch? I wondered around. No idea, she answered as she ate. We woke up nice and early and we took an early breakfast. We might be in a strange place, but exercising in the morning was a must. We ran for 5 miles and came back and then did some light exercises in the hotel suite, if this room qualified. As such, we were in .it didn't have enough room for any vigorous exercises, but it was still okay. As a beta, I realized that there was no slacking because we were basically the warriors of the pack. We thus had to train, unlike omegas, who aren't allowed to train because they are believed to have delicate bodies. And it is believed that since they are delicate, any vigorous exertion to the body might damage their wombs, as their primary purpose is to give birth, after taking breakfast and getting ready. It was around 8 in the morning and it was time to start our day. We went to Elia's ice cream shop and we were there before she opened, but she was already at the front of her shop pretending to sweep. I say pretending because she wasn't really sweeping, and the place seemed to be clean anyway, and even the way she greeted us showed that she was not a very good actress. This one, hello and good morning. Don't tell me that you want ice cream this early. Oh no. We don't open until much later. This is too early for ice cream, and we also discovered that if we open early, children wouldn't want to go to school or even take breakfast, she said as she shook our hands, and I smiled. Maybe we want a bucket for the road? I said, with a knowing smile. Oh, that I can do. Please come in and take a seat. I won't open the doors, since I won't open till much later. Please come in, she said loudly, as if there was someone she wanted to hear. Killian and I followed her inside, and instead of sitting in the area where customers usually sat, she beckoned us to the back of the shop and we followed her. None of her workers had arrived. We came to the area where she lived. Do you live alone? I asked because she had a daughter and a son. Yes, my daughter got married and my son is in a university in the West. I didn't want him here lest he gets swallowed by the city. She stressed the word swallowed to show that it had a metaphorical meaning. Now, let me see this to me. As she touched my face, you take a seat there and there is tea in that kettle. Have a cup or two if you please. This to Killian, who sat without taking the tea he had just been offered. No one knows that you two are here yet, and you should keep it that way for the time being, she said, just repeating what we had already decided. Tamia, this makeup won't do because anything could happen, but don't worry, I have something better. I was given by a friend yesterday after you left, and she asked you to visit her today before you start. Here, she said as she handed me something that looked like human skin on a polythene wrapper. What is this? I asked as I scrutinized the small wrapper it was in. It's a locally made mask. It will mask your real face, and that one goes for 3 days. It even changes your facial bone structure, and it will be hard for people to tell who you are, even those who know you well. This to Killian, take this. You are too handsome and you will cause a stir and people might begin talking about you, and the last thing we need is Logan growing interest in you. He might get jealous if he hears there is someone more handsome than him walking these streets. Wear this and make sure that you two don't raise eyebrows. Be as incognito as you could be, she said, throwing another mask at Killian. Killian looked at it and I asked the question he wanted to ask. How do we put it on, and is it not harmful to the skin? I asked, as I took mine out of the bag. Oh, here, and I choose to ignore your second question, she said, as she took it. First, we have to remove the makeup on your face, she said, and I took my makeup remover from the small bag that I was carrying. I cleaned my face and she just put the mask on my face the way one would puts a cleansing mask, and it took the shape of my face, and I could feel it as it was squeezing itself into my skin. After a while it stopped, and I looked at Killian, and he gasped. What? I asked him, afraid. Could it have damaged my face? You look like a totally different person. Wow, he said as he stood up and started touching my face. He touched here and there trying to look for the edges of the mask, and there was none. After he was done praising it and scrutinizing it, I took a small mirror and looked at myself. Wow, this is good. Thank you, Elia, I said with a smile. Don't thank me. I okaylo my life and I didn't like the way he was killed. Make sure you bring his murderers to the book, she said as she looked at Killian. "Your Highness, is my mask too dirty for your royal skin?" she asked, and I burst out laughing. Talk about roasting someone. He didn't speak as he took out his mask from the wrapper and put it on his face. I watched as he changed to a different person. He was still a youth, but the faces we were given were the type of faces that someone would look at and forget the next moment. These were good as compared to our real faces, because our real faces would draw attention to us, and these would not. And no one would think of looking at us twice, as these were just ordinary faces. "So, who was the friend who gave you these?" "We need to thank her in person," I asked, because it was true. If we needed more masks, we needed to thank her and maybe buy more if they were for sale. "You know her. She lives at the ledge of the Silver Moon Forest. Go see her. She might be of help to you and your mission. All the best, my girl. And don't be rash. Take it step by step and don't let anyone make you do something rash. It is good to wait and confront them when you have everything you need at hand so that everyone could support you. Take him down in one fell swoop," she said, with a knowing smile, and I hugged her. She had been an angel and I owed her a lot. We took a cup of tea each and then left. According to our culture, it would be rude if you went to someone's house, got offered something, and then left without eating or drinking whatever you were offered. After that, we went to the market because I didn't want to go to old Lady Claire's house empty-handed. "We will also come here early tomorrow and buy things for Alia. She has been so good and she won't accept it if we give her money. We thus need to buy her farm produce and pretend that we want her to cook for us," I said, and Killian just agreed with me. I gave him the bags to carry as we moved around the market that was beaming with people this early. We bought different types of seafood: fish, crabs, shrimps, squids, and such, vegetables, potatoes, yams, chicken meat, beef, and such. We were loaded by the time we left the market, and it was a good thing that we had brought our car. "What kind of a woman is she?" Killian asked as he drove, following my directions. "Just as sweet as Alia, if not more," I said, as we parked near her gate. "She was like a second mother to me," I added. Old Lady Claire lived in a dilapidated hut, and it looked older than I could remember. From the outside, it looked like the last time it saw repairs of any kind was when it was built. The roof was rusty and was almost falling off, and the outside looked unkempt. "Are we in the right place?" Killian asked me, and I was having lots of doubts too. "The last time I was here, it wasn't this bad," I told him. "The last time I was here, this is where she lived. This is where I spent most of my childhood," I said, with nostalgia. I remembered how I would play all around as I waited for my dad to pick me up after his work. Old Lady Claire was the best. She would have cookies and milk for me every day, and I always looked forward to when she would pick me from school. She literally helped my dad bring me up after my mom passed away. "Let us try and see if there is anyone home," I said as I walked towards the door and knocked. There was no answer, nor was there any signs of life, and I knocked again. We heard shuffling from the inside, and after a while, the rusty lock on the door turned. Out came Old Lady Claire, just the way I remembered her, a bit elderly and stopping a little, but with a head-turning face. But she was as beautiful as ever, and there was not even an additional wrinkle on her face. "You haven't aged a day," I said, as I took her in an embrace. "And you have become a woman in the brink of an eye," she said, as she returned the hug. "Seems just like yesterday, when I used to shout at you not to run so fast. Look at how fast years have gone by," she said, and I felt teary. What wouldn't I give to go back to a time when my dad was still alive? "And this must be your husband." "Not a question. Please come in." She beckoned us, and we did. Killian had to make 2 trips to the car so as to bring all the things we had bought. When we got to the inside of the house, I learnt the meaning of the saying, "Do not judge a book by its cover." I almost walked out to check whether this was still the same house that looked like it would fall at any moment. It was much bigger and cleaner on the inside. It was exactly how I remembered it. The same old mahogany tables, the couches with the embroidered clothes on them, the beautiful embroidery work on the walls, the crochetings on the stools, and it had this homely, welcoming aura that made one feel at home. All I do nowadays is crochet and embroider, and that's why they have increased. I rarely go out anymore. "The world is no longer safe for an old wolf like me," she said when she noticed me checking the beautiful patterns on the walls. "And don't you bake anymore?" I asked. "The doctor told me to cut down on sugars, so I rarely bake." But she walked towards the kitchen, then came out with a cookie jar. "I did these yesterday when I was told that you are in town," she said, and I couldn't help a smile as I took the jar from her. Killian had offered to put the things we had bought in the fridge, and I decided to go and help him. We put the meat and fish in plastic containers and then washed the vegetables as we wrapped them, and even though the old lady was complaining, we wanted to do it. Allow us to do this for you. It is the least we could do, I said, and she sat there telling us about what had been happening in the pack. Logan has gone totally mad. He's mad that one, and no one dares talk about it or even tell him because then he would have your head. He is running this pack to the ground. He put his friends to be in charge of ministries of the affairs of the pack, and they have also run it down. Do you know that we no longer produce wool? They partied and ate all the sheep. That was our largest export, and now without that, we are done. All the people that used to work on the ranch have had to move out and look for jobs elsewhere. The beef farm is also empty. They sold all the old bulls there and didn't breed more as norm. I don't know who told him that mixing friendships with business would help. And they weren't even qualified for the jobs. Many of them have never even seen doors of a college, let alone a university. He's like a mad wolf who has rabies. That's why I had to use magic to disguise my house so that he can think that we are all as poor as he wants us to be. Did you know that our taxes have been increased and they are all going to his pockets? And he doesn't even pay the national government its dues anymore. That means that very soon, they will be here, and that is putting our pack at risk. Does he want humans to know of our existence? It's bad, my child. It's bad, she said sadly as she shook her head, and even from her tone, we could tell that it was bad. By the time she was telling us all that, we were done. We now understood how she had electricity to run the fridge and microwave in her small abode. Things weren't that bad when we used to live here. And now, I hope that things will go back to normal very soon. Isn't he afraid that his wolves will start going to other packs? Why would anyone stay if they aren't benefiting with anything or in any way? And they can't even be provided with security. Killian asked. As an alpha and a leader of a very big pack, I knew he sympathized with the wolves of Silver Moon pack. He looks like he was bewitched by whoever killed his sister, because his madness revolves around that, Claire said as she finished making us tea, and we sat around the small table with cups of hot black tea and cookies. And that's why we are here. I want to clear my name, and we really don't know where to start. Killian seems hell-bent to believe that I was the one who killed his sister, and he doesn't have any concrete reason of why I would have done it. When asked, he said that I was jealous of her status. As if, I said. An old lady. Claire shook her head sadly. I couldn't kill Alana, and everyone who knew our relationship knew it. So, what kind of help do you need? She asked, and I was too happy to answer. As we spoke, that feeling I had the previous night came again. It started with a little dizziness and then full-blown nausea. I ran towards her bathroom and vomited everything I had eaten. What is wrong? Is it the cookies? Killian asked, as he helped me clean my face of all the sweat. Come and lie down here, Claire said, as she indicated the 3-seater couch. I laid on it and started willing the nausea to go away. When did this start? She asked. Last night. We had just eaten and she vomited, and I thought maybe it was food poisoning since we were in a new place, Killian said, because I couldn't even say anything. I felt like I would vomit again if I opened my mouth. MPH, Claire said, as she looked at me thoughtfully. Give me a minute, she said, and went to another room that I guess might be her bedroom, though no one could tell, as the place had so many doors and corridors, and only she knew to where. This place had really changed since I was lastly here. She came back after a while carrying a clear liquid in a glass and a sharp razor in the other. Without talking or asking for permission, she made a slit on my hand and poured the blood in the glass she was holding. What are you doing? Killian jumped and held her hand, but she had already made the cut. Relax, Lycan. I just want to be sure before I diagnose her. I am not a doctor, but I can deduce one or two, she said. And as she talked, she harvested the blood she needed, and she held my hand and the wound closed. We watched as the water turned blue instead of red. What is happening? I asked, because that was a phenomena I hadn't seen. It is as I thought. When was the last time you two nodded? She asked and smiled at me knowingly. No, please don't be what I think. Let me start by saying that I am ecstatic. I am way above the moon, and I want to stay here because this is all true. If I wasn't an alpha and in a new place at that, I would have gone round the streets shouting and telling anyone willing to listen to me what good things were happening in my life since Tamia came in. Let me take you back to where it all started, though I am very happy that I wish I could fold the story into a very little dumpling and feed you, and it would then melt into your mouths with all the information I would have out in it. The old lady cut Tamia's palm and put the blood in the clear liquid she was holding in a clear cup, and at first, I thought she wanted to harm her, but she assured me that it was all okay, and since Tamia didn't object, I also didn't object. She knew these people better than I did anyway. What surprised us was that the clear liquid did not turn red as would have been expected, since it comes even without saying. Instead, the liquid turned blue and the woman smiled. She asked when we last nodded, and I wondered what that had to do with anything. And I saw Tamia's face turn ghastly pale. Did she know something I didn't? Then it occurred to me. Oh goddess. Oh goodness. Is she? I wondered aloud with a stutter, and the look Tamia gave me made me stop in my tracks, but I knew I was right. Don't you dare finish that thought. We have a lot to do that. The last thing I want to be is pregnant. There, she confirmed it for me. But you are, my dear, and according to the blue hue, it's around 2 months old, if I am reading it correctly. I am not an expert though, but what I am totally sure of is that you are with child, she said. And Tamia, who had raised her body and was supporting herself with her elbows as she listened, let go and fell on the cushions with a thud and a very huge sigh. It was like she had been given the whole world to carry, and she had just put it down to take a breather. She couldn't believe that it was happening, whereas I was ecstatic. Tamia was carrying my child. My child. I was all smiles, and I knew I looked ridiculous, but who cared? Who wouldn't be happy? Not me, definitely. But I sat there looking at her, although my body was betraying me, especially my face. What the hell are you smiling at? What are you so happy about? Tamia shouted at me, and that's when I realized that I had been smiling. I just couldn't help it. What am I? What did I do? I asked, trying to mask the joy on my face, and then I went to her and sat beside her. Come on, Queen, don't be angry. It's here and all we can do is live with it. Besides, it is our baby. I soothed her, and she looked at me and started shedding tears. I held her close and embraced her as I cooed her and talked sweet nothings to her. I wanted to reassure her that it was all okay. She was not alone. We were in it together. You know, being with child won't prevent you from taking your revenge, Claire said at the side after a while, and Tamia, who had already stopped crying but was still holding on to me, looked up. Yes, that's true. She spoke like it was not her who had just cried a river a moment ago. All we have to do is work on it faster than we anticipated, she said, sitting upright and dusting unexistent dust from her pants with a smile. I looked at Claire confused, and she shrugged her shoulders with a knowing smile at me. Can you use your powers in your state? I asked Tamia, because my mind was now thinking of the little royal she was carrying. Don't start with me, otherwise I will make sure I send you home in a lightning and leave me here to finish everything on my own, so as to prove to you that I can do it all on my own. Or do you want to test my powers? She asked with a try-me smile, and I smiled sheepishly, because I knew she could make good her promise. I knew that she was still getting used to it, and I would give her all my support throughout, whether she asked or not. So, where do we start? Claire, do you know or can you think of any reason why anyone would want to frame me? Also, as you know, I was born an Omega, and it was confirmed when we turned, and my wolf was a submissive Omega. So, how come I am now a Beta, and it happened after the goddess gave me the powers I have? Or could it have been that? Tamia asked, and I swear my mind wasn't on what she was saying. I couldn't help peek at her stomach, wondering when the baby bump would start showing. I wanted to touch it, but I knew it would only annoy her. What kind of a pregnant woman will she be? I had seen many around my pack, and I wondered if Tamia could be like those ones who were just lazy due to the pregnancy, but knowing her well, this one will work to the last day. I was just daydreaming when she looked at me. Killian dear, your highness, would you like to go back to the hotel and wait for me there? Tamia asked me in a very sweet voice that told me that I had been caught. What? Why? I feigned surprise and innocence. Stop daydreaming and looking at me and concentrate on what brought us here, she said, and I had to force myself. She seemed to have a short fuse since we discovered that she was expectant, and I didn't want my queen to get angry. It's true. I am now in terms with the fact that it is all true. Been sleeping with my eyes open the whole night thinking about it, and it's true. It took a long while to sink in, but I have finally come to terms with the fact that I am going to be a mother, a mom. There is a child growing inside me. It's like a miracle. Or is it one? I really don't know how to feel. Should I be happy or afraid or confused? But then, I turn and look at the handsome hunk sleeping next to me and holding on to me, as if afraid I would run away in the night and leave him. I smile because the goddess has finally favored me. I am a wife, a queen, and now I am going to be a mother. I was confused and afraid yesterday when I found out, but I am not afraid anymore. Why should I be afraid when I have thus been blessed? When I saw how Killian is excited and running here and there for me, it dawned on me that it is true I have my own family and it was here to stay. This was the same man who defied odds and loved me despite everything I had been through and despite how dirty I felt. He stood by me through it all even when I told him the truth. He just embraced me and promised to help me get revenge. He never questioned my innocence. He is the man who satisfies my every whim no matter how unrealistic or childish it is. This is the man who had made me queen of one of the largest and wealthiest packs around. This is the man who has done it again. He has made me a mother. I turn and kiss him on the lips, and he stirs, and I hold my breath. I know he is tired. I would hate to awaken him at this hour, and so, after he starts snoring gently again, I caress his face lightly, careful not to wake him. I lay down again next to him the way I was and start imagining my life as a mother. My life as the mother of Killian's children. Our little princes and princesses. It is a sweet feeling. Me, Tamia, a mother. Nice, right? I fall asleep again and I am awoken by the smell of food, and when I open my eyes, my big teddy bear is sitting there at the side of the bed smiling at me. Good morning, sunshine, he greets, and I swear that smile makes my whole body brighten up. This is how every woman should be waking up. Breakfast in bed or paired by the hunk of a man. This isn't from the hotel, I say as I look at the food. I can tell because it is an English breakfast that isn't served in these sides of the country. There is sausages, bacon, baked beans, fried tomatoes, baked potatoes, fried mushrooms, toast, poached eggs, and a glass of freshly squeezed juice and a pot of tea. On the side of the big bed breakfast's portable table, there is an avocado sliced thinly and appetizingly, and a salad with a lot of lettuce and carrots in it, just the way I love it. I look at him because this food looks like it can feed 10 people and like it was made for royalty. Wait, I am royalty. Hard to sink in just yet. That one, you did this? I accuse because I know and can tell that this is all him. Yes, I thought. It is time I put the kitchen and fridge in our suite to use. That is what they are there for, right? So, I went to the farmer's market early enough to get fresh produce, and voila, here I am, he said, showing the expanse of the full table. Baby, why so much food? I ask him because he is so happy for me to destroy the happiness with a complaint. You are pregnant and I want you to eat healthy. Also, the reason why I prepared so much is so that you can have whatever you want. We can save the rest for later, he says with so much enthusiasm, and I am unable to tell him what's on my mind. I swallow and look at him with a smile. Sweetie, I am only 8 weeks pregnant and you know it. And the baby isn't big enough to want to eat all this. Have you eaten? I remember to ask because if I know him well, he has been running around without any food in his stomach. No, first, he says, and I tap the bed next to where I am seated. Come and sit with me, I say. He looks at me and then sheds the apron he was wearing all along and sits beside me. I give him a peck on the lips and smile at him with gratitude. Yes, I am very hungry in fact, but not as hungry as to eat a whole tray of food. We eat while having small talk and he ends up eating the bulk of it, and I have to admit that he is a pretty good cook. I am yet to get used to the fact that Killian knows how to cook. He told me that he learned how to be self-sufficient since he ran away from the pack when he and his dad were fighting over Aida, and it forced him to learn how to live as a commoner. He even washes his own clothes with his hands and rarely uses a washing machine except when the maids are doing it. With all the moving around, it forced me to know how to do all these things. He told me once when I asked him why he was washing his underwears, and he told me that there are some of his clothes that even the maids know not to touch. That made me respect him even more. After eating, he clears the table and goes to wash the dirty dishes. I offer to help and he refuses. Why? Because, drum roll, yes, you guessed it right. You are pregnant, baby. Stay there and I will be done soon. Say that with his heavy baritone. I think of taking a quick shower as he finishes in the kitchen, so that we can start strategizing and know where to start today. In my condition, every minute matters and we can't afford to waste even a single minute. I don't run the bath because we had soaked enough last night after we came from old lady Claire's residence, and I just want to take a quick shower. I look at myself in the big mirror and stand by my side as I scrutinize my stomach. I am in my first trimester and it is not yet visible. I am just imagining myself with a bulging belly and I can't help but smile. I start running the warm shower and let the water run down my body as it caresses every part of me with the warmth. It is such a nice feeling, and I am glad that I didn't run it to hot.as I am soaping myself up. I feel Killian open the door to the bathroom and he joins me. This doesn't startle me as it has become kinda our thing. He's so caring that I also want to spend as much of my time with him as he wants to spend with me, no matter how. He turns my soapy body around and helps lather my face and clean it with care. He then runs water all over where I had already applied soap, and I don't say anything as I look at him. He's so sexy in his tight t-shirt and jeans that are already wet, showcasing his bulging muscles. He doesn't turn off the water as he takes my lips in his. We kiss with hunger as if we haven't kissed in a very long time. He plunges in my mouth with his tongue and I let him. Killian tastes every part of me and I am already aroused. He explores the whole of my mouth and we both taste like bacon and roasted potatoes. We kiss and he leaves my lips and trails kisses down my neck. He doesn't nibble on my skin and so doesn't leave any hickeys. He kisses me until he takes a nipple in his lips and I feel the soreness there. I wonder how I have never noticed that my breasts are sore and all. Was it because I never thought that I was pregnant? Anyway, I will think about that later because the sweet feeling from this man's sweet, loving and gentle caresses can't allow my brain to think straight. He then trails wet kisses helped by the still running water down my stomach, and he plays with my belly button for a while, and I feel my stomach clench as he trails the kisses down and around my pregnant belly. He kisses me and then falls on his knees and I wait for what I know is coming with great anticipation. My body is trembling all over.